Hello and welcome to a beautiful, beautiful Monday morning, starting a very beautiful week with a lot of promises of greater things to happen. But you know what I always say? That even though greater things will happen, but it depends on how prepared you are to take advantage of them. So things will happen. God has made sure that a lot of wonderful things will happen to us. But how prepared is your heart? And how prepared are you to receive them? So all the great things that will happen, those who take advantage of will be the ones who are prepared for that. And I guess that you'll be part of it. So welcome aboard the AM show. And yep.
You put me in the spirits this morning.
Well.
I want to be lucky in some areas of my life, but looks like preparation is the best way to start. And when the opportunity comes, we'll be right there. But let's tell you what we have in store for you this morning, the brand new week, brand new day on the AM show. We'll start by serving you the AM news. And after that, we'll sit with our guests to review the newspapers. And guess who's joining us today? George A.C., former Director of Communications at NADBO. Then Timothy Awontrim. He's former Member of Parliament for Busa North. They'll be joining us to review the newspapers, and then we'll get into our big stories. Kojo, what's happening for our big stories today?
Well, leave us if you can no longer protect us. That's the lamentations of some Boko residents in yet another gruesome killing of a mother and her two children. And the frustration and anger grows as a resident of Tisongo, a suburb in the Upper East region, demand investigations into the dreadful incident.
Well, also, that will not be all on our big story segment. We'll also bring you a conversation on the peril to access education. We'll take you to a so-called community in the eastern region where the audaciously bold attempts by the children has caught the attention of President John Mahama. We'll bring you all the details and updates on that story. You want to join us with your comments and your thoughts across all social media platforms. We are Joy News on TV. And my name is Sweetie Abochi.
And I am Samuel Kojo Brace. It's always an honor to welcome you aboard.
Folks, let's start with the AM News now. Hello, folks. I'm Sweetie Abochi, and welcome to the AM News Bulletin on the AM show. Let's start from the national security operatives because they've seized a large but unspecified amount of US dollars and Ghana cedis concealed in 12 20-foot shipping containers at a warehouse in Sapeman in the Ghana South municipality. Acting on a tip-off, officials discovered the currency hidden in wooden boxes filled with cement and compartments sealed with plywood and charcoal. 2 containers remain unaccounted for, with security trackers actively pursuing them. A manhunt is underway for 4 suspects, including a ringleader known as Alhaji. Further searches uncovered suspected gold bars, counterfeit cedi notes, and fake Ghana Army uniforms and boots, raising additional security concerns. We'll tell you more in this report.
During the operation, additional boxes opened in the warehouse revealed more cash concealed in compartments barricaded with plywood and sealed with charcoal. According to national security operatives, 2 containers remain on the loose, but state security trackers are actively pursuing them. Meanwhile, a manhunt is underway for 4 suspects, including a ringleader known only as Alhaji. The warehouse search uncovered even more shocking finds, including boxes of metals suspected to be gold bars, counterfeit Ghana cedi notes in 50 cedis and 100 cedis denominations, as well as fake Ghana Army uniforms and boots.
In other stories, the family of a 38-year-old woman and her 2 children who were killed by unknown assailants in the Tensugo suburb of Boku in the Upper East region is demanding an investigation into the attack. Rukia Idrisu and her daughters, aged 8 and 2, were reportedly asleep when gunmen broke into their home around 2 a.m. on Sunday and shot them dead. Relatives who discovered the scene say Rukia was found holding her youngest child in a pool of blood. The motive for the attack remains unclear, but the grieving family is calling for a thorough investigation and justice for their loved ones.
Since they came here, they asked about my stepfather. And I told her I didn't saw her. when they bring the picture, I saw the place, my father and my stepfather, and one brother. I don't know that person. But they came here secondly. They said, but when they came here, they saw my father and asked him, that was her brother. My father told them, if he do have a brother, they refused and beat him. They knew him. They will send him to hospitals. And they came back again, asked about my stepfather, Idris, that they want Idris. I thought, we don't have any person called Idris in this house. And they beat me and my father, and they sent my father again to hospital again. And today they came here. When they came, when I get up and saw them, my father said, my mother told me that I had to go back to sleep, and I went back to sleep. But when they killed my stepmother and my younger sisters, 2 of them.
Yes. I think I do a la Ghana. Tanam dege yung one umka yung tuka one male wente katanam zede wenzi so katanam beza doton tanam tudu ne ye kadane osoba yake kwen zakenana nkwen zakenana yusa da no soldier la oningu soldier uniform te pe yanga zab ne civilian kanazal male menga bele so. From
our room, we saw the person scale the wall into the compound. This will be the 4th time some people have come here looking for my uncle.
The casina, one about 4th time, Malanga. But then I can't even borrow Puala fit. But Penyo, Kaku Yogo Rogo Zuli. First one, Nala. The second one, the ask about Lent Kena. Capagnon, Brown, or Bon, or brother, my uncle, Bo, Yabam Bobo Solamang at the castle. Back on Bon Halleck, Nana, one among a Yapia or Poland woman, Canini Pineta. Then that's an Ampiella and a like I can I ask in here.
Well, away from that, today, Minority Leader Alexander Penumakin and a host of NPP MPs are scheduled to make their appearance before the special committee probing the chaos at the appointment committee. That ad hoc committee, chaired by Ho West MP Emmanuel Bejra, has held 2 public hearings and heard testimony from mainly the NDC MPs and some parliamentary service staff. The NPP side has refused to participate in a large part of the hearing. So, will they show up today? Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kwiku Asante reports.
The first day of its public hearings last Wednesday, one of the 2 NPP MPs on the committee, Kwame Anyimadu, was present and posed questions to a number of witnesses before the Minority Leader Alexander Penumakin is said to have asked him to withdraw and further barred other NPP MPs from testifying.
We're told when he came back, he said the leader asked him to recuse himself and not to be part of the meeting again. We had one of the witnesses from the other side who was coming, and later on sent a text message that he will not come again because his leader said he should not come.
This led to an abrupt suspension of proceedings. Last week, Friday, the committee reconvened with the expectation that the NPP MPs will resume their duties on the committee and those invited to testify will show up. But that was not the case, with the caucus accusing the chairman of bias and demanding his removal as chair.
In widely broadcast media interviews, Honorable Bejra made prejudicial statements alleging that the minority leader was actively conspiring to derail the committee's work.
With the committee expected to resume hearings this morning, up to a dozen NPP MPs are expected to testify, including Minority Leader Alexander Penumakin and his Chief Whip Frank Anodompre, who some NDC MPs have testified and instigated the chaos at the committee. The expectation is that they will not show up following their decision to boycott until the chairman of the committee, Emmanuel Bejra, who they accuse of bias, is replaced. So will they show up or not? Time will tell. But the chairman of the committee, Emmanuel Bejra, is adamant that their absence will not affect the committee's work. Reporting for Joy News, Kwiku Asante.
The Afutu municipality has recorded 356 cholera cases, which has led to the death of 2 children. 15 of these people are on admission at the Winneba Municipal Hospital, a situation health authorities describe as worrying, needing national attention. There's more in this report.
Acting Medical Superintendent of the Winneba Municipal Hospital, Dr. Douglas Amponsa says his outfit is worried about the surge in cholera cases. Patients, mostly pregnant women and children, are mainly from fishing communities within the Efutu municipality. Dr. Douglas Amponsa says his outfit is doing all it can to contain the spread of cholera in the area and called for national support to combat the disease.
The criteria is that if a case comes from where we have confirmed, we don't need to even test that one to say cholera. Because if someone is coming from the same area and the person has been confirmed as a cholera case, then that one is a probable case of cholera. So now out of the 356, we have confirmed 29 out of them. So those are confirmed cases, like these are tested and positive cholera. But majority of these 356 are coming from similar areas. So if you have confirmed a case from this area and you came from there, you are likely to be one.
Meanwhile, the 2024 National Democratic Congress parliamentary candidate for Efutu, James Kofi Annan, has led supporters of the NDC in the Efutu municipality to donate hand sanitizers, nose masks, and tissues, and provided financial support to enhance healthcare at the Winnipeg Municipal Hospital.
356 cases is very, very high. I think it's alarming enough to say there's some epidemic or something that's happening. So, as I have said, we will do everything to do things that will prevent them. We're talking about water running, they don't have them in their homes. We're talking about gutters choke, people throwing gutters in the train, rubbish in the gutters, and then water running through those gutters and children going to play in it. I also talked about how these children scavenge in that refuse dump in Sanko. These are all things that I suspect may be causing these things. So we want to promise that as for that dumping site, we will change its location. We'll make sure that it's no more located within the community.
He's also promised to help relocate the dumping sites in most fishing areas in the Efutu municipality and also organize regular cleanup exercises to reduce the spread of cholera.
Let me take you now to the Ashanti region because the Regional Health Directorate has urged dog owners to prioritize vaccinating their pets as a preventive measure to avoid the high cost of treating victims with dog bites. Deputy Director in charge of Public Health, Dr. Emmanuel Tevier, emphasized that annual vaccination protects dogs, families, and the community from rabies while eliminating the costly treatment for those bitten. He addressed the media during a rabies awareness campaign in the Fiduase in the Setre East District of the Ashanti region. Mahmoud Mohamed Nuruddin has more.
We continue to advise the public that, look, we work together with the veterinary services. And the veterinary services are there. They have the vaccines for the dogs. They have the vaccines for the dogs. One of the best ways of preventing rabies is for the dogs and the cats to be vaccinated. When they are vaccinated, we protect them. And indirectly, we are protecting ourselves also. And that is cheaper. When you are going to look at the human vaccine or the human treatment, that is very expensive. And normally it is out of reach of most people.
The rabies awareness campaign was organized by the Setre East District Health Directorate, preceded by a float through the street of Efiduasi. The campaign was joined by school children who are often victims of dog bites, as well as chiefs and elders, health workers, among others. Ashanti Region Deputy Director in charge of Public Health, Dr. Emmanuel Tevier, explains that dog bites are always a potential risk, especially in communities where dogs and cats roam freely without restraint.
The fight against rabies is everybody's fight. The reason is that the medium through which we get it is something that we are all exposed to. It's through commonly dog bites. And dogs are our friends. I mean, we have lived with dogs all this while. If you go to almost every home, you would find a dog there. You go to every community, you find dogs roaming, belonging to people. Unfortunately, in our circumstances, you don't have the dogs being confined to the house or inside the homes. They are free range. They are roaming around, and so it's important that we continue to create awareness for community people to know that the rabies thing is real.
She also urges victims of dog bites to seek immediate medical attention at the nearest health facility, warning that any delay in treatment could be fatal.
We are talking about life here, and that is why we are encouraging everybody, just get yourself to the health facility. Whatever support that is available would be given to you, because rabies is something that is deadly, and when it comes, if you don't act very fast, I mean, we are likely to lose those who have it.
The Central East District Director of Health Services, Dr. Justice Ofori Amwa, says the campaign is crucial because rabies poses a significant public health threat.
The campaign or the launch, the fight against rabies, has become so necessary because it is a disease that serves as a threat to public health. All that we need to do as a district, as people, is to get our dogs, cats, monkeys, and any other known animal that is able to transmit the rabies virus to people. We have to make sure we vaccinate these animals.
He highlights the concern in fact that the district accounted for 2 out of the 5 confirmed rabies cases in the entire region in 2024, underscoring the need for dog and cat owners to ensure their pets are vaccinated.
And if you come to the Ashanti region in the year under review, that is the year 2024, the Ashanti region has recorded 5 confirmed rabies cases, of which 2 of them are coming from the Central East, which is quite alarming.
Aside the rabies, the district has also embarked on other initiatives to fight growing cases of other diseases. A report by Mohamed Nuruddin.
In other stories, to mark 25 years since completing school, the Achimota 2000-year group is giving back to the alma mater with the construction of an 18-classroom block. Now, over 50% complete, the project is on track for completion ahead of November's Speech and Prize Giving Day. Jennifer August reports.
Person of the Legacy Project, Michael Ballet Vanderpoy, confirms that construction is progressing steadily, with the 18-unit classroom block expected to be completed and handed over in time for the Speech and Prize Giving Day in November.
As in the tradition of Achimota School, when you're 25 years out of school, you have to give back to school by having a project. Expected to hand over by November of 2025. We started on the 6th of March last year, and at this stage we are almost about 40% done. Yeah, and this is from funds just from the year group, no external funds. And so we decided to have this viewing session for people to come and see and to use that platform to solicit funds.
Architect and 2000-year group member Samuel Nate explains that each classroom is designed to accommodate 50 students, allowing the block to house approximately 800 students once completed.
It's an 18-unit classroom block, so it's for students basically. But we have, we also added a staff common room, an ICT center, and then a library. And then we have washrooms at the far ends. So it's an 18-unit classroom block in total. Each classroom is going to take about 50 students. That's from the headmaster. And then, so we are looking at overall over 800 students. This will be serving about over 800 students. Yeah. We also want the building to be sustainable. So we are thinking of going solar and then getting our own borehole to service the building.
The project is estimated at 7 million cedis, has already utilized 1.4 million cedis. Finance Committee Chair Kwame Isumeninjima is appealing for additional funds to ensure timely completion.
We're looking at about 7 million Ghana cedis to complete the project. So for where we've gotten to, we've spent a little close to 1.4 million Ghana cedis to get to where we are. We are looking at raising an additional 5.2 million Ghana cedis to complete the finishing and every other thing in the building.
The Achimota 2000-year group continues the tradition of giving back 25 years after graduation and remains committed to delivering this facility for students and teachers before the year ends. Jennifer August reports for Joy News.
Well, on that note, let's get into a business update now with Samuel Kojo-Brace.
All right, let's do the business update. And the Institute of Energy Security, IES, has challenged assertions by the former Finance Minister, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, that time is not right to privatize the operations of Electricity Company of Ghana. According to him, the cash collection end of ECG must be privatized to rake in the necessary revenue. Speaking to Joy Business, Executive Director of IES,
play montage.
The SERF maintained the previous concession agreement can be relooked at to enhance transparency and value for money.
Today, the PRC tells us that management, after even collecting some amount of revenue, is unable to comply the cash waterfall mechanism. And so we believe that there is nothing wrong in going back to the concession agreement, but this time around making it more transparent, making it more competitive as to who to select the suitable person to handle that with financial and technical capacity is the most important thing that we need to look at. We believe that if it's not broken, you don't fix it. Concession agreement can help, but you should tie the knot and make sure that it is transparent and competitive so we have value for money.
Well, banking consultant Dr. Richmond Etiahene is this morning predicting enormous challenges ahead of the newly appointed governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Asiama. He believes the incoming BOG boss must work hard to recapitalize the central bank following the huge losses it suffered in 2022 following the debt restructuring. In an interview with Joy Business, Dr. Etiahene said Dr. Asiama must ensure sanity in the financial sector.
The capitalization is a key hurdle, because you're operating a very limited physical space. So I believe that it's not going to be easy. But when you come to the industry seems to have so many legacy issues, even from the banking sector cleanup. From the literature, I can tell you that from the literature, I have read 3 different figures. Minister of Finance said it was 18.9 billion, 18.99 billion. But in the press, the former president's 7th address, the nation of state address, he said 21 billion. And when I cross-check the facts from the IMF document 2019, which covers 18 and 2019, the figure you see there is about 15.7 billion. So you can see the inconsistency about the figures. Which one is the likely figure? And again, there are also outstandings. You know, those GN banks, people haven't been paid. So how did we apportion the whole 21 billion or the 18.9 billion? So we had to deal with that one. That one is a very, very critical issue, because I believe personally that the way we went around it, we could have taken a different approach.
All right, let's wrap up the business update with the commodities update this morning. So that's by way of how much commodities are selling on the world market this morning. Well, back to you, Suti Abochi.
Thank you, Samuel Kojo-Brace, for serving us business update. Now let's get ready for our news review segment, because that comes up next. Please stay. I hope your week is off to a great start. Welcome aboard the news review segment on the AM show. Of course, I'm Sweetie Abochi, and sitting in for Benjamin Akakpo today is...
yours truly.
Mine truly.
Yeah, Samuel
Kojo Brace, right. We'll be steering the conversations together.
Your chairman.
My chairman,
If it doesn't come there, Charlie, you won't pay you.
Right. But those who join us for the conversation this morning, George Ayisi is former Director of Communications at NADMO. And we also have former Member of Parliament for Bilston North, Timothy Awontrim. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I want to start with a familiar face so that we can usher you in slowly. Usually we give our guests a minute or two to reflect on any topical issue that they want to share thoughts on. Mr. Ayisi, let me start with you. What's on your mind?
Yeah, thank you. Good morning to you. Good morning to my brother, Kojo. And good morning to our viewers and your production crew. What's on my mind is the YEA, Deputy Chief Executive, a young guy, I've forgotten his name, Tudor or Adongo. He's Adongo. Unfortunately, there are problems, challenges allowing him to access his office as Deputy Chief Executive Officer of Youth Employment Agency. And it's worrying. He's physically challenged. You know, he's a blind person. He's been working in the system. And His Excellency the President thought it prudent to appoint him as Deputy CEO. But there are people challenging and, in fact, stopping him physically from accessing his office.
I'm aware there are two different
So
that's the confusion.
Yeah, okay. No, what if the president wants... Yes, he is saying his appointment is not being revoked. And so if the president doesn't want him to act as Deputy Chief Executive, there should be a letter from Mahama, not the president, the executive, Dr. Callistus Mahama, revoking his appointment. That is proper, you get it, so that he will know. And the disabled physically challenged association have waded into it. And it doesn't send the right signals to all of us, especially now that we are embarking on steps to integrate them in wherever, you know, we find ourselves. If that guy has been in the system, he's not just been brought in, he's been working there. And he says he even wants to access his former office, no access, okay? Whatever the challenges are, he's also beginning to put certain one or two together to say people are deliberately frustrating him. They don't want him there because of his the knack for accountability. Okay, so he thinks those people want to have their way, and because he's in the system and he knows the system, you know, they fear he will be a stumbling block to the ambition. Okay, whatever it is, I plead that Executive Secretary to the President, Dr. Callistus Mahama, get into the matter to resolve it. Or if His Excellency himself will come, just a letter from His Excellency's office, this can be stopped. And my brother, the Chief Executive, Basintale, should also pay attention to that to see if this can be resolved. Because it's not sending the right signal to the physically challenged world.
I thought that it would have been resolved by now. You know, there is one at GIPC where one person was appointed earlier, but another person was appointed and the earlier one was reassigned. Wow. So you understand the clarity there, that even though you were appointed earlier to GIPC, but you've been reassigned to something else.
That's all.
So I thought that would have been the same measure to deal with this. Because I saw the youth, one faction did some sort of presser, you know, which was out there, and they didn't understand what was happening. So let's see how this will go. But I'm sure this week they can resolve this.
It's all about clarity.
I raised it because of the person he is.
Oh, yes. It's quite important, you know.
Let's get into your thoughts, Timothy.
Let me say good morning to our viewers out there, and then to my brother. It's been some time before the election, so we have not met until this morning, to your good self.
So congratulations to you.
And you see, just to go on my reflection, it is important for us to note, like my brother said, that this blind young man has worked there before. He knows the terrain very well. But it becomes increasingly a problem when public officers try to prevent others from accessing a public facility. The facility is not yours. It's not a private property. It is for the people of this country. Taxpayers' monies were used to establish them. And they are appointed to serve the people of this country, not an individual. I was taken aback when the issue of the SIC woman, Hollister, and the allegations that she locked her offices and so on. You remember Domlovo's case? When he came back, they had gone to lock the offices. There should be clarity. There should not be any ambiguity about who should occupy an office. If it is so, then, like he said, the secretary to the president can withdraw and appropriately appoint the fellow to assess the facility and so on. He equally talked about the fact that it is difficult for a fiscally challenged fellow to often assess these structures and so on. For me, I think it's about time we begin to put action to the law that requires that when you are fiscally challenged or you're in a public building, your accessibility to it should not be impeded by way of the structural development and so on and so on. We have to do this thing to ensure that we are really bringing our fiscally challenged people on board. Looking at my reflection, yesterday I was just thinking about the fact that this government, or our government, has been in power for just about a month. If you look at the achievement that the president has done, the timelines put to it, I think if he continues this way and we all support him, we are going to move forward and to the expectation of everybody. For instance, he has constituted a committee to put in place modalities to review the educational system. He has also put up a committee to look at the economy, to set up and so on. He has reduced the Hajj fare from over 70 to 60, which is very significant. And if we all support our president and ensure that he's held to the promises he gave to this country, we'll have an economy better and a country better to stay. And for all of us to benefit from it, I would only appeal to our people in Parliament, both minority and even majority. I say that the power that is being exercised by the minority is an entrusted power, just like the power that is being exercised by the majority. It's an entrusted power given to them to exercise. You must exercise this power in humility and in respect to the people of this country and ensure that pertinent policy issues are raised and discussed. When policies are discussed vigorously, the best of it comes out for all of us. But when they go on to the vetting committee and their own conduct there reveals that we do not even know where we are going. It is too early for our brothers to continue to juxtapose issues by saying that, you see, you said we're a clearing agent. The Attorney General has filed nolli prosequi. So you're a chief clearing agent. It's too early. We're just in power for just a month. Beyond that, the power of nolli prosequi has been exercised.
You have to land on this point for me.
Yeah, has been exercised by various governments time and again and by Attorney General where they deem fit. So if it is done, it's not something that is novel or it hasn't been done before. Let us continue to build a country that is united, a country that will bring the power that the people entrusted in us to the best of their abilities, and they should enjoy from that power.
All right.
So by your deeds, we should know you. I'm waiting for Jifa Gomashi's clearance. Is it Jifa? No, Sedinam Tamak.
All right.
Sedinam Tamak.
Yeah, waiting for.
Well, gentlemen, let's get into the newspapers.
She will not be clear.
She's heading to America.
Okay. I have the Daily Graphic. Let's get straight into it. The major story, of course, made all airwaves over the weekend. That massive gold and cash bust. The national security seizing millions and suspects fleeing, and the manhunt for a man, the ringleader known as Alhaji. Now, don't travel first class. President Mahama instructs appointees. Attorney General terminates 3 more criminal cases. 2025 National Chocolate Week launched. And of course, Kwame Sefakai honored for contributing to pediatric care, timber industry, Lord's right choice for Forestry Commission CEO. I want to start from here, gentlemen, and I'll throw to you in a bit. National security made a massive bust, seizing a large and specified amount of US dollars and Ghana cedis, including counterfeits, hidden in 12 different 20-foot shipping containers. And we all followed that story over the weekend. How does this make you feel? Let me start with you, Mr. AC.
Yeah, it's good and bad.
Good and bad.
Yes, because it's good because we got the informants hinting the national security. Without the civilian security collaboration, we cannot expose some of these criminal conducts. People are involved in illegal money printing, counterfeit printing and all that. And if you don't get an insider to give a hint to the security forces, you cannot know. I mean, if the narratives from your outfit shows there were charcoal somewhere, plywood, I mean, it's difficult for anyone to even suspect that something like that is going on.
Which makes me wonder, sorry to interject, how long has this been going on?
Yeah,
How many of these counterfeit dollars and CDs have been infiltrated into our system already?
No, they do it. They do it, and the security agencies are always chasing after them. But it's good they've busted this group. I commend the national security outfits and then the individuals who give the information. Sweetie,
we saw Richard Jakpa there opening some containers in the footage.
They are in action. He's in action. You get it. So the other difficult part we pray doesn't happen is when it is done, the one who snitches on these people, sometimes the security people give the information to. You get it?
Oh, really?
Yes, and that's the challenging aspect.
Has any such thing happened?
No, sometimes it happens. You know, I cannot off the top of my head bring, but I'm a Barras boy, so I'm talking about some of these with experience. Sometimes you see that they will come give you the intel and everything. You go and bust the people and go. Then later you see them chasing because an officer has hinted. It was Suti who told us about this. You get it? And we pray we don't get to that point if we want to succeed in busting and clamping on some of these illegal groups. And co. It's serious. It's a serious thing. Counterfeit. They found 50 CDs, 100 CD notes, a lot. And then even they suspect fake gold bars.
The gold bars in
there.
Fake
gold bars.
But again, what is the impact of this find on Ghana? Because this is out there in the international circles, right?
Yes.
The country that was begging for some $3 billion some few years ago is today reporting of dollars in 12 20-footer containers. That's huge.
Yeah, huge.
What really...
No, it sends the right signals to the international community that we are ready to fight some of these things and clamp down on them. You know, we are not condoning them. They happen. Even in the United States, United Kingdom, there are such groups in there. But they make efforts to, clamp down on them. And so if these things come out that the nation is taking steps, especially the national security, to clamp down on them, it sends right signals. It means we are not condoning and allowing the infiltration of counterfeit monies into our economy.
It's just not the counterfeit I'm looking at.
Okay.
That
the activities going on.
Dollars.
Yes.
Because some of the dollars are not counterfeit per the story.
Yes.
Some of them are real cash.
Good.
So a country that was looking
They use that to bait, yes.
Okay.
Yes. The genuine ones are few, but they use it to bait. And then they use it to also do the counterfeiting. Yeah.
So I mean, where I'm coming from is that...
Oh, so hoarding.
Exactly.
You hoarding.
That you didn't have the money. You were begging for some $3 billion.
Yes.
But here you are. Someone is keeping...
Yes, hoarding.
This amount of dollars in some container somewhere. Really?
No, money laundering, it's part. So it tells you there's money laundering going on. And so this busting is taking two things into... we're stopping money laundering and then counterfeiting. So it's a good bust.
What do you think? What do you make of it?
When I first saw the story on social media, I thought it was a fake story.
Hey.
So I didn't read it because sometimes some of these things are mind-boggling. You begin to think, how can dollars, be they fake or even real, besides such quantum of money with gold bars? It's unimaginable. And what it does to the image of this country is that we stand to be blacklisted if we are seen to be a conduit through which fake currency and gold or minerals are passed through. Now, it brings to mind how effective our security system should work. And like my brother said, there's always a collaboration between even local and international security agencies to ensure that these people are busted. We have what we call the Financial Intelligence Committee. We have a lot of them within the system. How do we work? We've seen where in this country, where cocaine was busted and it turned to be konkonte. I am hoping that these currencies that were busted, proper and meticulous method should be used to store them for the appropriate thing. And you see, when you get a criminal gang that engages in drugs, gun running, What you do is that you do not just arrest those who were transporting the money. There's a whole link. You must trace up to the root cause and where if you want to really nip it in the bud and arrest the kingpins behind these things. When you arrest the kingpin, then we have a way to go. But it's just like I've often talked about the fact that land guards. Why would you always arrest the land guard and leave the ones who employ the land guard?
Okay.
You understand? If you want to stop land guards, if you want to stop, arrest those who employ them. Sometimes they use the small boys to print the monies and to do that. But the big guys, look at the lifestyle people are living in this country. Sometimes people engage in very dangerous lifestyles. But you do not know the businesses they engage. Assuming that this huge amounts of money were not busted, it filters out into the hands of all those who are engaged in this ring. And they come about even infiltrating our political settings. Sometimes these people have the audacity to sponsor parliamentary candidates or even party candidates in order to have power when the political parties, and they do it across. So when they do that, then they will have power to be able to do these things and so on.
Okay.
So it should not just be by what they did yesterday. It has been done. We would want to see a proper and forensic investigation into the matter to ensure that those behind the ring are nipped in the bud. For instance, in the US, sometimes when you are selling cocaine, they know you are selling cocaine, they will leave you. But they will trace you up to the point that this cocaine will be disposed of. Then they will keep doing that up to the time they will get the whole ring busted. Because if you arrest him selling cocaine, you haven't done anything. But who gave the cocaine to Tim? How can we do that and so on? And the world is against what do you call it? Counterfeit money laundering and so on. Looking at the way our economies have gone, looking at the way people are suffering, look at the way these things equally, in a way or the other, affect our inflations and the stability of our currency and so on. If these monies are not properly accounted for and invested into capital projects, what happens is at the end of the day, it goes into wrong hands, and you know when money gets to, they engage into...
invest these monies, as in the money that was...
yes, what I'm saying, yes.
From the bust, invest it in...
Yes, because, because sometimes when these monies, they can turn them around by engaging even in estate development, buying of expensive...
That's washing, they wash
the money. They'll turn it around in that way. Then it will then turn around to make the fellow like, oh, I'm a businessman. But what is my source of funding before I became business and so on?
Yeah, but I thought you were saying that the state should invest the money.
No, not the state.
You're talking about how they wash the money.
Yes, we're talking about how to wash them. At the end of the day, you see them in a very copious lifestyles that do not measure their investments. So it's a good bus. Let's congratulate all those involved. Let's ensure that the identities, like he said, of those who leak the information are not dangerously exposed. Because there are still people who are out there, who are those, because it's a ring, who are those who leak the information and so on, and it can be a very dangerous thing.
I want us to look at the news angle of, or how the news got to the public.
Right.
You just busted the items. We understand that the people are even on the run, and they put out a name, one Al-Haji. There are so many Al-Hajis. Really, is that how our security should be approaching these issues? In terms of making a bust, and like you say, following the trail to get to the point where you know that you have every actor, in the action. How much the security go about this? Such that because this, you put the people who are behind this on alert, and they probably would have been.
I think the security, they have their own way of going about this.
Okay.
But you see, these days, everybody is a journalist. Whatever that you are doing at any time, they can capture it and put there. And when it happens, you are compelled as a security to come and then explain things in order not to create doubt, in order not to create an issue of you are covering up or something of that sort. So sometimes it is not deliberate, and I know by their profession, they should know that before news items of this nature comes out, they would have done their background check and ensure that what they are putting out there is not injurious to the public, and it will not negatively affect further investigations into the bust and so on.
Okay.
So I do not know how the information was leaked to the public, but be that as it may, we are discussing, and they should also take a cue from it, and they know what these things meant when they are quickly leaked into the public. Sometimes our discussions can obfuscate issues and it can lead to distortion of information. And the fact that people are hiding somewhere, they need to bust them. The information can let the people take a cover. So for me, I think that it's early days, yes. Let's see whether, when proper forensic investigation is done, we'll get the details and the facts surrounding this. But I agree with you that the way the news was leaked out there can be dangerous too.
We have to move on to other
But before you go, I think
George,
sometimes it's deliberate. People want to be seen. When Sweetie said, saw a certain individual character in there working, you get it, you know, Japa Heko, Bavlo Latte in action. Sometimes it's deliberate for the media. No, I'm saying yes. So sometimes they themselves give out the hint to the media so that it will be captured, put out there that they are working. But I agree with Vulnerable that, you know, sometimes, as you said, we are trailing to get the kingpins, you get it. And so if you do this, you think Alaji will be sitting there for you to help. You get it. It's because it's now public. People know where the whole incident happened. And then they know, some people within the area know who the Alaji is. Yeah. They do, yeah.
So is that not the strategy, though? The way when the police are approaching someone they're going to, you know, catch or apprehend, they turn on the siren. So it causes you to make a mistake, and then they can catch you. If they hadn't made this a public affair, how would the people who are involved know that something like this had happened? They would have secretly found their way out, but now everyone is on alert.
And they are gone. If they've not gotten in anybody, right? Yeah, so not hard for Alaji. Which Alaji? You should have gotten a key person. Then you go into the media and you show him that.
I think it's preemptive that they cause this confusion.
But sometimes deliberate. Well, as you said, sometimes private journalists.
We hope they know what they're doing.
Yes,
because the story says 2 containers are already on the loose.
Yes.
How do you identify it? If I see a container, there are so many containers, especially if you are in Western region. There are so many containers passing by you every time, and even in Taiwan. So how do you locate that this is the container? But I hope they know what they are doing.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Yeah. They are the
two last stories from the Daily Guide and Daily Graphic, and then we come to your papers. Attorney General terminates 3 more criminal cases. I think this brings the total 6 people that he's cleared since he assumed office. The Attorney General, and Minister of Justice, Dr. Dominic Ayeni, has terminated 3 more criminal cases initiated by the previous administration. Notable persons who were on trial and can now heave a sigh of relief as a result of the AG's action include former Director General of Social Security and National Insurance Trust, Dr. Ernest Thompson, who was accused together with 3 others for causing financial loss to the state. We know the story. Other beneficiaries, former Water and Works and Housing, Collins Dawuda, and his successor, Dr. Kwekwajiman Mensah. But the current people who have been, the current action by the AG brings to the total, 6 terminated cases so far. And I'm trying to get the names of the people. We have Dr. Johnson Esiama, Oliver Bakavomawo, Dr. Ernest Thompson, Collins Dawuda, and so on and so forth. And the last story I want to bring to your attention before we get into other papers: don't travel first class. President Mahama instructs appointees. Now, President John Mahama has instructed newly appointed ministers of state not to travel first class for official duties outside the country to help cut down the public expenditure and promote modest leadership. I'll come to you in a bit. Let me just put the headlines at the back page. Noguchi commissions equipment to boost cell research, and many people living with glaucoma unaware of their condition in this country. Gentlemen, AG clearing a total of 6 criminal cases, and President John Dramani Mahama's directive to his ministers not to travel first class. Timothy, what are your thoughts on this? Let's make it brief because we have a lot of papers today.
Very brief. The issue of the AG clearing those who were standing on trial, in legal parlance they call it nolli prosequi. First of all, rightly so, and I agree with the AG, because there's difference between prosecution and persecution. If any AG takes over office and you find out that cases that have been brought before the judiciary about former public officers, it's rather more persecution than prosecution, and it does not follow procedural actions, then the other AG has no case done to terminate it First and foremost, it must be told that this is not the first time an AG has terminated cases.
No, yeah.
It has been done, and it will continue to be done unless the law that allows the AG to terminate cases changes as it is now. They would always do it when they assess the case and see whether they are making a headway or not. If the AG had a case, that's the former Attorney General had a case, you cannot use 8 years or 7 years prosecuting one case and you cannot jail the fellow. In the case of the current finance minister, Atuforson, we heard the Japas tape that has even been admitted in court as evidence, showing that the AG was asking Japa to procure a fake health report and be brought there so that the case can be done in their way, because the AG himself said that he was under pressure by the president and other actors of government to ensure that Atuforson goes to jail. So they were not prosecuting Atuforson for the alleged crimes that they stated there. But underneath that was a subterranean maneuver to ensure that the guy is pushed to jail. When you come in as an AG, and remember it cost the state to prosecute these people and so on. So for me, I think that this current AG did the right thing. And when you look at the other cases and so on, they follow the same pattern. Where in this country, when Jachi Kwesi was made to be going to court, is it daily, to go to the court on daily basis? But we have seen serious cases that they do not even go to court and so on. Be that as it may, I think that the current Attorney General has the capacity and has the legal background and all what it takes to review the current cases and ensure. Look at the case of Paul, what do you call it? Afoko. Gregory Afoko. Gregory Afoko, the court even gave Gregory Afoko bail. And for 8 years now, this guy has been incarcerated up to today. For what reason? Who benefits from that? The cost to the state. Who benefits from, if my brother or I has been incarcerated?
Is it the case that he met the bail terms? And was
he met. What were the bail terms?
Okay.
He met. The court severally, the one that argued the case the first round, it was thrown out, the second one, so on. And even the case of the judiciary granting him bail, the state withheld his bail and continued to incarcerate him.
Is he one of those released?
No, but I believe that he will be released. No, I believe that he will be released. I'm only just giving you a number of cases that the state cannot continue to withhold those people in custody and then their rights are being abused. That is what I want to tell. I'm just citing this one to add to the current cases where the Attorney General felt that they've not got enough evidence to continue to prosecute them. And look, while the period of the prosecution, these people have suffered already damages and so on. Their freedom of movement, their personal business and so on has been brought to a halt because an Attorney General is determined to push them. And I believe that for 8 years on one case, if you have facts and evidence, you should be able to prosecute them.
Well, you know, we spoke to the former Attorney General, Deputy Attorney General, Dominic Alfred Tia.
Yeah.
And he was telling us that the reason they haven't acquitted or prosecuted the many cases that, you know, is of national interest to the Ghanaian is that they don't have enough evidence. And we had this conversation about how maybe the Attorney General's office can have their own investigators and so on and so forth. I'm just trying to draw out the point that if, opposition decides to use this against the ruling government, it's theirs to use because he just came into office and you've already cleared 6 people. It is theirs to use against the ruling NDC government. So let's just see how all this plays out.
But if the Atua, is that Atua?
Tia
said that they haven't got enough evidence. And that is how criminal prosecutions are. You know, in criminal prosecution, the least doubt, you have said you are let to go. So before even Attorney General goes to court, he would have done all his investigations, gather enough facts to be able to win the case at the end of the day. No Attorney General goes to court and comes out empty-handed. He should go in and come out with results to satisfy the people of this
country. Brief comment on President Directive.
The brief comment is simple. Look, it's about time we begin to reduce executive expenditure. The fact that even John Mahama reduced the ministers from cabinet from 30 to 23 alone saved this country billions of Ghana cedis and so on. I saw a Joy report about the total envelope of money we spend on the executive. It's 84 billion. So when we took over governance at the time the economy is seriously in tatters, at the time that almost every institution that we took over is owing billions. As a result, you don't continue to hemorrhage the what you call the debt What you do is to reduce them, and not just the first class, but essential travels. So what the president is saying is that if you don't have any business going on, or if your business, you go and it doesn't bring in investment, don't go, sit here and then we'll do the work together. That is why we've set up the economic forum that will be discussing the whole issue. But I think it's a good thing.
Okay, Georgia, you see.
Yeah, thank you. Oral Operation Recover All Loots. Oral Operation Release All Looters. Is now what is going on.
That's not oral.
But that's oral. I mean,
Operation Release All Looters.
But George, if they were looters, why did your government fail to prosecute them?
No, prosecution. Look, it goes on. We know that the wheel of justice, they say, grinds slowly.
Yes.
You get it. It's definitely going to get an end. I know cases that has been prosecuted, land cases and others, over 20 years. And it's still going on. So you don't just conclude that, no. Okay? That is the, and as time goes on, prosecution continues. New evidences are gathered and brought to the trial. It's possible. You don't say you must have all the evidence hands-on before, It's good. It makes your case a solid case. But as you go on with the prosecutions, new evidence can come out. You get it. And then can direct the trajectory of the prosecution process. So that is what it is. And I don't understand, how anybody can convince me that Saglame is not worth prosecution. Okay? Or prosecuting. Because the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana approved $200 million for the execution of 5,000 housing units. You go and build 1,506, and then it's left with $2 million. And you tell me that is value for money? Parliament, experts and co made this thing and sent to Parliament. Parliament approved affordable housing. One is supposed to cost around $40,000. But by what they have done, it's costing us $187,000 or more. Is that affordable? Okay? Parliament approved that. You are telling me that the ex post facto rationalization of we will sell this and then we'll take the money and then, no, you are not selling and people are not paying upfront. It's over a period.
But George,
you get it? So please,
the question
that is something that the prosecution is worth it.
With all these evidence you speak about,
yes.
Why couldn't you do it within 8 years? It's still
No. So it's ongoing. Prosecution is ongoing. Okay? No, the judges, there are many instances for maybe transfer of a judge, whatever, delay. There are a lot of processes that delay trials. So that is a matter that, so people, I've heard somebody say the Attorney General must tell us the basis for the nolle prosequi. You get it? So he knows why. But it's not far-fetched. It's a political decision. Okay, because these individuals are politicians. That's why I asked my brother Honorable if Gregory Afoko is part of those who have been asked to go. Okay, and he said no. So it's not part of it. It's just the politicians that they feel, hey, let's and it's that's.
But George, the nolle prosequi. Although it terminates the proceeding of the case, it doesn't outrighly acquit the persons involved, those accused.
Yes.
New evidence comes to light, they can call back the case anytime.
But until then,
how is that
until
politics?
then, you're alone. Until then, you're free. Until then, you're safe. You get it? So that is the issue. But I think let's get the basis for the nolle prosequi so that people will not read that it's a political something operation, release or looters. Okay? So
Beyond
that. You let me finish. So that is it. So let's get the basis. Dominic Aine is one of my favorite politicians. He's a very brilliant, sharp individual. So I was happy when he was appointed the Attorney General, Minister of Justice. So I don't think he's there just to wash the NDC.
On the President's directive.
Yeah, first class, business class. You didn't touch business class, Business class is also as comfortable, almost as comfortable.
Why, you want our ministers to fly economy? You want our ministers to fly economy?
You got economy there, we all day there.
You were traveling
No. What's the problem? You and Misty.
No, it's not about
It's a good call, sweetie.
Yeah.
It's a good call, but will it be heeded, could you? It's you. Multimedia and your partners, you can push to see whether it's actually being enforced stricto sensu. You get it? That is important. But the call is very important. When we're in government, the president called that travels be stopped for some time and all that. You get it? Then later we got that, you know, before you travel, you clear with the chief of staff.
And then the private jets came in.
Yeah, the private jet came in and all. So let's see. It's a good call. Let's see whether it's going to be enforced to the benefit of the Ghanaian. But as he said, yes, cutting down from 30 ministries to 23 is a good one for the optics. Is a good thing. It says that, you know, I've said somewhere, I think on this platform, that so far the picture the president is giving looks encouraging. You get it. So we need to support him, to encourage him to continue to do that. We are yet to get to the cracks of the business of governance. Okay? The first budget will come maybe next month, and then we take it. Then that's where we are going to be. You see, this is my second Bible, you know.
It's great. Let's do your papers now.
So it's a good call.
All right, all right.
Let's do
the government on
yes.
All right.
Let's do the news center. And I have a story. There's a story here that is so interesting. After Infrastructure Fund target 100 million Africans to pay $1 a day. Now, the Africa Prosperity Network, APN, and the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat have unveiled an ambitious infrastructure compact aimed at mobilizing African resources to finance the continent's economic integration. A key feature of this initiative is a special infrastructure fund targeting 100 million Africans to contribute as little as $1 per day, which will be used to finance major infrastructure projects across the continent.
You're too soon.
Yes.
Good vision.
Yes.
Good
So
vision.
let's look at it.
Yes.
How can we operationalize that? How can we make the implementation effective?
100 million Africans so it means there ought to be proper structural assessment of individuals or businesses targeted, and then which can make us achieve this. There on the face is a good call, which means we are looking at raking in 100 million dollars a day. Dollars a day for after. It's a good thing, but how are we going to achieve it? That's why I said there should be a targeted group of businesses, and then how, you know. So the executive secretary must tell us the way he's going to do that to achieve this objective. It's a very, very laudable objective, but how do we get it?
Can't it be voluntary? Like we're all here. All of us can contribute for $1 a day. So that's $4 gone.
You and who?
A day?
You.
30 days means $30?
Yes. Break it down, you can do it.
No, but you have to know that that's chairman speaking. So, yeah.
Oh, no. No. But my point is that,
yes.
See, I've always said that.
But there should be
challenges.
The interest, people whose operations have some interest within the AFTA regime. You get it. That is very important.
No, but infrastructure, all of us benefit from it.
Yes,
for example, the road they are doing from here to Winneba. When it's done, all of us will benefit from it.
It's ECOWAS.
So paying $1 a day to contribute to that, like I've said, challenges of this country can be solved when all of us come together to say, can we do this? Because $1 a day is no money. But no. $1 a day.
By 100 million people means
$1 a day. Yes, but when you have 100 or say 10 million Ghanaians paying $1 a day, that's 10 million every single day. Imagine what we can do if we take that particular.
We are waiting for the big push by the government. 10 billion.
That could even be a strategy to help us pay off our debts. If you say, open it up and say, all the rich people, donate what you can. You know, you'll be surprised the number of people who, for the love of this country, would
do that.
Pour in some resources for us to clear our debts.
I'm saying
so this government should take a cue from this. This is something you can try.
A levy sort of.
Well, from the way it is.
That's why I was trying to box it into those within the arena. So
okay. So I'm sure as we go on, but Honorable, what should happen for you to say you are agreeing to pay $1 a day?
You see, I think that Africa, we are becoming too lazy in terms of mobilizing resources that we have already to put into infrastructure. And this infrastructure can pay itself off, whether 100 billion, 1 trillion. Look, the illicit money outflows from this part of the world into the European countries and in the US and the Western world. It's in trillions of dollars. Illicit money outflow. That it goes through our own governments. These Europeans use their big influence on Africa, including their businesses, as conduits that this money goes out there. Beyond that, it says that as an African, we cannot continue to rely on foreign aid and external borrowing. What are you talking about? We will say these things, action speaks louder than words. We keep saying these things, and yet we are borrowing. Yeah. And even the irony is that when you borrow, you do not put the money into where you went and borrowed from. If we borrow, like we're talking about the road can pay itself off. If this infrastructure, there's several ways for which African can pull their resources together and then mobilize, build the infrastructure, and then we can pay up, because the infrastructure will pay. Assuming that we construct a road or rail across the whole of Africa, I can bet you that we can mobilize that money. We shouldn't put further burdens on our people, especially where most of the economies and the lifestyles of our people are not doing. $1 is big money. What is is it the daily wage? How much is our daily wage? It's a little above $1 or so, or less than $2. You understand? So for me, the vulnerability of our people is still high. And we continue to talk about these things as if we are...
Okay, so our daily wage is 14.88 per day.
Yes.
That's less than $1.
Almost
less than $1. So you cannot continue to do like that. So for me, I think that the people of Africa have suffered enough. The political class in this part of the world have rather benefited from the powers that we've entrusted to our political leadership than to our people. They should begin to sacrifice more. And it's difficult to tell people to contribute $1. Sometimes not because they don't have. They do not even see why they have to. That's why when you impose taxes on people, people say, look, we are ready to pay the taxes, but we don't see what our monies have been used for over the years. We'll continue to have poor road networks. Even the, what do you call it, the supply of our telecoms and so on. There are some areas in Ghana today that you cannot get network. And it even fluctuates and so on. Africa would want to see a centralized system of network that you can get it 24 hours. Even that alone can create jobs. That alone can create jobs. Our health systems are being destroyed. Our energy sector, why would Africa be having energy challenges as we speak now? Ghana is among, I think, the few countries that have had a lot of penetration of our energy into other, over 80% or so. Most African countries are still challenging with this thing. Look at
You're making really good points, but we have just about 5 minutes to go. So let's look at some of
the areas left are hard to reach areas.
Right.
But we can, even with technology, we can reach them.
Okay.
Looking at the nature of our continent and so on. Look at our forest that is being destroyed, our minerals.
So we've not read ours.
Exactly what I'm saying.
So for me, I think
some headlines for me, or
we shouldn't go this way. We won't get the target if we want to go this way.
All right.
But they can pull their resources together and then...
Well, from just Hajj legacy debt reduced from $7.8 million in 2016 to $4.8 million. That's according to Banda. Upon Nkrumah calls for independent labor statistics office. Clarion called to save actor Maoli Semevo after severe fire burns.
Yeah,
and,
that's a sad one.
Yeah, massive shake-up at HATE NIB, the National Investigation Bureau.
Okay, great. George, let's look at your papers.
The NIB here, I think, is it a National Investment Bank? Right?
No, National Investigation
Bureau.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. My paper, we inherited $7.8 million debt in 2017. Former Hajj Board replies Collins Dowder. Minority rejects Buyers Bedra Committee. This morning, I heard your news network saying whether it's going to, the minority will appear or we will not appear. A Blackwa opens the Pandora's box, invites probe into his Airport Hills residence. Ex-boss MD defends Gold for Oil program. I will fight for my precious daughter, Karen Baba assets. That's the issue. So the Labour, this thing, and let's go to the second one. We have, that is the new trust. The first one was the custodian.
Yes.
Yeah, the new trust. KMA has neither increased daily market tolls nor embarked on decongestion exercise. Presiding member says record straight. Former Abrim Assembly member commends Mahama for reduction of hash fee. Prioritize quality healthcare delivery. Pranghini urges President Mahama. Ebenage Herbal Production and Consult donates 30,000 cedis to support Hill Komfo-Anochi project as founder comments Otumfuo. Let's all give Mahama's government the needed support to succeed, Apostle Akabraima urges Ghanaians.
We can give you 1 minute to reflect on one story there.
Yeah, the Hajj issue. My good friend, Honorable Abdullah Banda, who was the immediate past Hajj board chairman, saying, you know, I think Collins Dowda raised the issue of the debts they inherited.
Yeah.
He came to set the record straight. In our part of the world and the politics we play, if you don't do that, you pay the price for it. So he said, oh, you left us $7.8 million, and we managed to, you know, get it down to 4.8 million. So that is their issue. And I understand some of the debts that come about because, sweetie, people pay and then they are not able to embark on the Hajj.
Because my question in my mind is, how do we accrue 7-point-something million in debt for, you know, just a pilgrimage?
No, look, let's be blunt. There's the politics of it.
Right.
There's the politics of this Hajj issue, both of us, both MPP and DC. There are some government must come to subsidize and all that. Look, I understand the president has reduced it from 75 to... The difference, the variance, is going to be paid for by the state. Okay, because that is the cost. So it's subsidy the president has brought in.
Yeah.
So don't think the difference between 75 and 62 is just we can wish it away. No, there's a cost. The state will pay for it.
Okay.
And so if the government doesn't release the money, then the debt is going to pile up. That is what it is.
This is something we should really discuss critically.
So yes, whether we are sponsoring it or we are allowing them to pay for it.
Let's get into the headlines and then we can
but I think
wrap
they've
up.
answered that we're not using the state's money.
They'll say that. Let's get into the details.
But the issue is that
when
the
audits come.
I said the budget will come
in
March. We'll see whether it is there. But we've been told that they are not going to use state funds. Be that as it may, subsidies are not bad. And when subsidies are given to a taxpayer, it's not anything bad. It is what the subsidy is meant for. Whether it is very important to give the subsidy for such
it is important.
Then we know.
But are we going to release the money to make up
for it? So the Ghanaian publisher, we have in it, Mahama praised for Engineer Latte, Engineer Kenzo appointment. African targets $1 a day fund to quicken AFTAC integration. NDC left behind, I think he just read, NDC left behind $7.8 million debt Hajj for former dashboard clear the air. My daughter is the apple of my eye, Baba Sam declares. The timber industry applauds Mahama's pick for Forestry Commission. Then we have the Daily Democrat. Big Ado's brother in illegal Galamsey scandal. Fear grips MPP elements at Bank of Ghana as Dr. Siama returns.
Is this paper still alive?
Honorable Dr. Zenato A. Rollins and the controversial remarks. Then we have SIC Life Staff welcomes new MD. Just a quick one on Fear Grips Bank of Ghana.
He's one of those...
but you know the charges put against this man is just not proper. But let's leave that another day. You see, why would fear grip them? Are you not Ghanaians? Haven't you been employed by Ghanaians? Are your emoluments and salaries not paid on the taxpayers' money? It is what you use your position to do that is that fear that is gripping them. It is not because Dr. Siama has returned and those. No, I don't think that the workers at Bank of Ghana are all culpable in terms of anything, if there's any, through how he was removed and he's back. Maybe those decisions were taken by bigger people than them. But you see, the smaller workers who are always under the ministries and all government institutions, it's your conduct. It's what you do with the resources and the position given to you that makes them be afraid. There are a lot of civil servants and public servants who continue to work under any government, be it XYZ, and they'll continue to work. The fear will come in when you know that what you were doing when so-called your party was in power, and then there's a change of government, obviously you'll be afraid. If not, if you work as a Ghanaian, put up your best.
That's the only source of fear?
That is the only source. Look, I've told people that, look, I see or myself can be appointed as a judge. It is my conduct at the bench that will determine whether I'm an NDC or I'm an MPP.
It doesn't even matter. In the U.S., you see, have Republicans who are there.
You can appoint enough, then this is an NDC judge.
Gentlemen, that's our time for the news segment. Someone could you raise quick thoughts before we go? Should we go?
Well, yeah.
Right. Okay. Folks, thank you so much for joining us. Those who joined the conversation, we had George Isaac, former director.
Before you go,
yes,
I had a certain Chief, I won't mention names, asking the speaker to identify who said something about.
Yes, Dr. Zaneto.
Yeah, so why? What would they do with it?
Well, the person has to be punished. You can't just make such utterances.
Because they're falsely accusing one of my finest MPs.
A fine MP as that.
No, but they can go
those who join the conversation, come down, gentlemen. Please mute them. George Aisi, former director of communications at NADMO, and Timothy Awuntrin is former member of parliament for Bilsad North, and they join us in the studio for the news review segment. But do stay, because sports comes up next, anchored by Muftao Nabila Abdullahi.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to AM Sports here with me, Muftao Nabila Abdullahi. Kumasi, Asante Kotoko supporters and management members, as well as players and technical team members, were at the Bawayara Sports Stadium last night holding a vigil in honor of late fan Francis Frimpong, affectionately known as Nana Pole. The vigil was graced by the likes of Dr. Prosper Nato Oguman. On your shot is Nana Apinkra, who is the chairman of the interim management committee of Kumasi Asante Kotoko. The likes of Kwesi Appiah, former Black Stars head coach and current coach of Sudan national team, was also at the vigil, which was graced by thousands of people, including House of Oak fans, who all assembled at the stadium demanding justice for the late Nana Pole. Earlier, reports had suggested that Nana Pole was stabbed at the in Swatre Stadium, where Inshotreman plays its football matches, following chaotic scenes that saw players of opposing teams punching each other, with many claiming that it was the owner of Inshotreman FC who incited the fans. And this led to the arrest of about 6 persons, including the owner and former employment and labor minister, the person of Ignatius Befor. But he was granted a bail, but 5 people are currently in police custody assisting investigations. The Ghana police say they will go the extra mile to ensure that all those who are culpable are brought to book. Asante Kotoko believes that the late Nana Pole was a staunch and devout fan of the Porcupine Warriors, hence their decision to go all out and demand justice for him. In fact, last week, when the Ghana Football Association called for supporters meeting, the Porcupine Warriors decided not to show up, indicating that they will only show up when the Ghana Football Association is willing to demand justice for Nana Pole, who was stabbed at the stadium. Let's hear from the Internal Management Committee Chairman of Kumasi Asante Kotoko, Nana Apinkra, who has called on the supporters to allow the law to take its course. That is Nana Aprinkra, who is the chairman of Kumasi Asante Kotoko Interim Management Committee, speaking to the fans there following the vigil last night. And Sunday happened to be exactly a week since the stabbing of Nana Pole during that Ghana Premier League match day 19 encounter between Kumasi Asante Kotoko and Nswatroman FC. Let's hear from DCOP Lee Diadonko, who was the first person at the scene as the Ghana Football Association sent her there to gather evidence and lead investigations. She says that the stabbing happened outside the stadium. She was speaking on Joy Sports Link.
We had to go and investigate. We've been to the ground and we've gathered our evidence and everything. So it's important to make that distinction that the unfortunate stabbing did not happen inside the stadium, although it's related to the football activity. It didn't happen inside the stadium. No, it didn't happen inside the stadium. So, and I have to say this because there's all kinds of comments about people are saying how did the police allow someone to come into the stadium with a knife. And let me mention that the police have a strict search regime. At least that is something that I speak with my various commanders and we insist and we do it. There's a strict search regime when you're coming into the stadium. We search everybody who is coming in. And this unfortunate incident didn't happen inside the stadium. It happened outside, and he was picked, after he had been stopped, he was picked by a driver, this vehicle they call a Boboya or something. Yeah, a tricycle, yes. And then the tricycle dropped him at that section of the stadium. I believe that he did that because he knew that the ambulance was at that side. You understand? Yeah. So the stabbing did not happen inside the stadium. That distinction has to be made very clear.
Let's go to the Sports and Recreation Ministry, where Kofi Adams takes over as the first ever Minister for Sports and Recreation. He was sworn into office by President John Mahama on Friday. John Mahama says he does not envy him as he takes over the office and also called on him to sanitize Ghana's sports. He described the sport as one in shambles.
Honorable Kofi Idi Adams, Minister for Sports and Recreation, I don't envy your job. You have the monumental task of restoring Ghana to its pride of place in African and world sports. The shambles that is Ghana sports today is completely unacceptable for a country with our pedigree, and I expect that you inject transparency, professionalism, and modernity into the management of the sector. I expect that you will concentrate on building up all the sports disciplines, and I know the Ghana Football Association would be a good place to start, to work to make sure that we return Black Stars to its glory days.
Let's start our big stories now, but we want to start with those two features that we just brought to you. And you can see behind us the pink and white and baby pink balloons, brace. What does it tell us?
Love.
Love is in the air.
And Valentine, huh? I
Right.
mean, they say the month of February is the month of love.
Yeah.
So really, when you see this...
Are you in love?
Me?
Yeah.
Ask again.
Are you in love?
I have been in love always.
Ah, okay.
I've married my wife for how many years now?
Ah, okay.
Since 2016 officially.
Okay.
Till now, this is 2025, huh? So that's
Well,
how many years?
congratulations. I don't know.
9 years.
9 years.
Yeah, we've tried.
Congratulations.
but I mean, we've dated we've been together for quite some time. You know, quite some time. So I've always been in love.
I'm proud of you. That story, what do you want to start from?
I think we should start from the young girl's own.
Yes, the 3-year-old girl braiding hair. I think that's just talent she was born with.
Exactly. That's it. I mean, long ago, I realized that you become successful when you develop your God-given talent. I mean, all the people who have been hugely successful, watch them. The things they do, it serves as your foundation, right?
True.
So you become successful in that, and then it gives you avenue to then diversify your earnings. And that's how you see a lot of people becoming so successful. If you take Elon Musk, why? He's not an engineer, right? But he's a good manager. He has eye for good business, right? So he's able to detect that this will be a good business. Let me put money into it. When you watch Three Idiots, I don't know if you've watched it.
The Indian one?
Exactly.
Right.
Three Idiots is an Indian movie that talks about this. How you shouldn't force children to do things that you think they have to. So, you know, we give birth to children and we say, I want you to be a medical doctor. I want you to be a lawyer. I want you to be an engineer. You've not asked yourself what that kid wants to do. You know, this girl is into braiding, right? 3 years and she's braiding. Who does that?
There's something you just said about the movies. That reminds me of a particular one was watching this weekend, Houston. It's an American, yes, I think it's a brand in America. And how he started by just making hats at the age of 4 or so. And he just made hats for his mom to cheer up his mom, but eventually he made so much money from this, opened a company, went into clothes and all that. So we should watch out for this girl. And I hope that interested philanthropists can come to her aid, give her some proper training, you know, so that it's not just a story we tell you about a 3-year-old who's gifted with her hands, but we can actually propel her to make a fortune from that.
And even people who are in that area of child development should probably help the father and develop the mother or the parent in developing the talent of this young girl. Because you may think someone may say somewhere and say, braiding so there. But people are making a lot of money from braiding.
Yeah.
It depends on how you brand it, you know. So I think she needs all the support we can give her.
Right.
Okay.
But let's segue into our big stories now. Let's start from the peril to access education. Let's take you to a Sokwao community in the eastern region where the audaciously bold attempt by the children has caught the attention of President John Mahama. Take a look at the footage and then we'll be back to discuss.
If you look at how the kids are crossing this water body to go to school, and this is a story of most young people in some of these areas in Ghana. Yeah, there are so many areas that before children get to school, they go through very dangerous path just to make it to school. I remember in 2010 when I was doing my internship in Asankragwa, we were working with cocoa farmers, and I tell you what, sometimes we sit in Accra and we don't know how some cocoa farmers are living, because see, they've built communities in these farms very, very far. And you meet kids early in the morning, they are walking sometimes 10 miles to school. And I met quite a few.
Brace, let me just put out that we are opening the phone lines. So call us, let's get interactive on the back of that video that you just saw about school children and how they actually commute from their homes to school. And I believe it's caught the attention of the president. And we'll bring you all those updates. But call us and let's have a conversation on this.
We'd also love to have their experiences.
Yeah.
Just like mine. I mean, I was in level 200 by then. And in Asankragwa, going to some of these communities, and you meet kids, you're like, and they walk several miles to go to school, because in the cluster of these cocoa farms, there's only one community that the school is placed there. And even the school is so terrible. So look, the things that children do go through to get to school in some of the areas, it's mind-boggling. Something that we don't even.
But let's answer in our callers. The first caller is on the line. Hi, good morning. Tell us your name, where you're calling from, and your thoughts on this video.
This is Abdul Ganiu from Mankargo.
Yes,
the boy Mankargo.
Yes, Ganiu. All right.
Good morning to you and good morning to your viewers out there. I think the day that I've seen this video, I was very, very shocked. Seeing very young guy trying to cross a river like this to a school, it was worrying. So I think that is Eastern Region, right? Yes. I think Eastern Regional Minister have saw some news portal that he's going there to visit and see how they will work those things out. I think our leaders should wake up. Very, very soon, this kind of young guys, they will be the future of our country. So if we are not making a place like this, but we go to a place having a tar road ready, they will be trying to put asphalt into that tar road. And we have roads like this at our various communities. I think it's very pathetic. So our leaders should wake up, especially the Minister of Education and the education sector. They should wake up very seriously to know how they will do to check out all these things, so that our young boys and girls will also benefit from the taxpayers that we are all giving to the country, so that it will also develop our various communities to get that benefit. I think these videos is not immediately they just made a mistake and fall into this water. It's going to be another news. So we should work out this and see how.
Right.
Okay.
Well, there's a story here on myjoyonline.com that I need to bring to your attention, because we mentioned that this caught the attention of the president. And it says President John Mahama has assured a so-called resident in the eastern region of swift intervention to resolve pupils' challenges of risking their lives crossing a water body daily to access education. I mean, on its own, it's discouraging that you have to cross that river, walk on that tree could break any moment. I'll bring you the more updates after we usher in Charles into the conversation. Charles, good morning. Tell us where you're calling from.
Good morning, sweetie. My name is Charles Mensah. I'm calling from Tema West.
Hi, Charles. Share your thoughts.
Fairly and truly, our duty bearers and those who offer themselves to public service, these are some of the things they should be looking at. So apart from offering themselves for leadership, they should also be very moral and ethical in their behavior. And straight to the point, if I go to Parliament and in an altercation with somebody, I break anything there as an ordinary citizen, will I not be arrested and prosecuted immediately? Why should we queue and vote for people who are supposed to be lawmakers, and then they go into work, they go to work, and in exercising their responsibility, they deliberately destroy things, and even they will not allow a committee to go into their behavior. If we don't stop this ethical behavior, because of the behavior of the political class, mark my word, today is on the 10th of February 2025. One day, the ordinary citizen will march to the corridors of power and demand accountability. At that point,
that's why I think
the crowd.
Your point is well made, sir. Your point is well made.
Thank you so much. Let's usher in our last caller on this subject, and then we'll move on. Hello, good morning. Do we have our last caller online with us? All right. Well, do we have our last? Please tell us your name and where you're calling from.
My name is Nana. I'm calling from the Harbour region.
Okay. Nana, share your thoughts.
Okay. Like, my thought is, like, you see, this incident or this breach has been there for the past 8 years or almost. You see. And we had a government at that time. And God knows me good. That president was the Eastern region. So you couldn't even do anything about it for the people there. So he had 8 years to at least just do effort for the students, if not even people there, just for the students pass on to it. And when he pass on it, but it didn't do it. So I just want to say, the leaders have to have.
Well, that's not a good sound to hear,
Yeah.
but thank you all for calling on the back of this story that's caught the attention of the president. I do want to complete telling you what the update is. So in a Facebook post yesterday, the president revealed that the affected community had been identified and that immediate steps were being taken to provide a lasting solution. Quote, early today, the MP for Lower West, Hakim Owen Kwame Frimpong, visited Asoko community and assured them the Eastern Regional Minister will also visit as well. It goes on and on, but the president has assured that swift action will be taken to help this. And then let's usher in our guest for our big stories this morning.
Well, but it reminds me of a story I did here in Accra. I mean, I said earlier that maybe things happen, we don't see them in Accra, but here in Boteman, kids were crossing a certain river, and as of the time I did the story, about 4 kids had died, you know, because they had to go through a certain small stream before they can access their school.
Right.
And when we did it, the assembly moved in to construct a wooden, no, it was a concrete bridge over that small stream. So even in Accra, kids were going through, you know, something like that. So it's good to see that swift action from the president. But yeah, to our big conversation now. And
joining us in studio.
You know, Ghanaians are particular about certain subjects. Over the past 8 years and more, I mean 10, 12 years, this issue about the fight to protect the environment has been major. Last year, residents of some part in some part of Cape Coast could not have water because Ghana Water said, we cannot process the water coming in. Bonsa had to close. Bonsa Waterworks in Takwa had to close down because they didn't have it. The river Bonsa was polluted heavily. So everybody is talking about how we can protect the environment. So really, if you look at the appointment, one of the outstanding ministries is the Ministry of Environment. And today we're lucky to have the minister here. We're going to talk to him about his vision for that ministry and what he intends to do in the fight against Galamsey, especially. Honorable Murtala Mohammed. Comrade, okay. How are you, sir?
I'm okay.
Nice to have you in our studio.
Nice to be here.
First off, you've been to the ministry when you went there?
No, I'm actually starting work today.
Oh, okay.
What I did was, I didn't want to go to the ministry when I was not properly the minister.
Okay.
I was nominated, but I had some engagement with the chief director and the directors, and subsequently I had some engagement with heads of various agencies under the ministry. And I remember the chief director wanted me to have, you know, same engagement at the ministry, and I said no. So I had those engagements in Parliament. Barless will were sworn in on Friday, and I shall be starting my official duty this morning.
It's great that you're starting your first day with us.
Yes,
I join you.
So when I spoke with Kinsley, I said, I have to start my official duties today. But I did also say that, okay, I would honor you that opportunity. I mean, it's important for Ghanaians to know what the vision of the appointing authority is. In this case, His Excellency President Mahama. And what my vision may be, but my vision is subservient to the vision of His Excellency the President. Of course, whatever we all need to do together, including you, the media, to be able to achieve the vision and the policy agenda of His Excellency the President in the matter of environment. And it is true that it's a topical issue, and it's something that we all...
Yeah, so let's start there. Let's start the ball rolling. I want to understand or hear from you your understanding of the scope of work of this ministry, because it's the Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology. Often people seem to leave out the part that there's science and technology integrated in there. What is your understanding of the scope of work that this ministry is supposed to be doing?
First and foremost, it is, let me say good morning to your cherished viewers and of course and yourself, you know, beautiful self, handsome self, and good morning to the good people of Tamale Central. First and foremost, it is one of the ministry, if not the only ministry, where you engage people who are experts and scientists. I do understand that almost all the agencies what they do is purely science. And I remember when I had an engagement with the various agencies and we were asked to do self-introduction. Anybody who introduced himself would say, Professor this, Professor this. So at the point, I was referring to everybody as Professor.
Right.
And I remember one of the agencies, I referred to the gentleman as Professor and says, no, I'm not a professor. And I said, I thought everybody here is a professor. So I understand that I'm coming to be working with scientists and profoundly technical people. And I told them, and I would reiterate the same, I won't be an Inselberg on the way of them. I would allow them to have the free hands to do that which they were trained to do. As long as whatever they do is in line with the vision of His Excellency the President, the policy position of the government. So that is the first statement I will make on this matter. It's purely scientific ministry, where you have an interface between, academia and industry and politics. So you have these three, blend together. So that is the understanding I have. And if you look at the agencies that are one, and it's true that it's like the focus is always on the environment, excluding the science and technology aspect. If you listen to the president when we were sworn in, he said, Dr. Mutala, you have an enviable, task or responsibility. I mean, everybody would not want to be given such a huge responsibility, taking into consideration, it's not just a national, a global cry for us to protect our environment, even though there are some presidents who are climatic, pessimists. They don't believe that climate change is something that is affecting us. So I do understand. So the environment is an aspect of it. The science and technology, for me, which is very critical, if you want to propel our economic growth and development, we need to focus on that. And the STEM, if you listen to my vetting, the STEM education is something that I want to look at seriously, to see how we can incorporate STEM education at all levels of education. It seems to me that except those who are in that STEM program, we need to have the education of science, technology, and engineering at all levels. You don't necessarily need to be a science student to have some understanding of science, technology, and engineering. If we can,
we already have something like that in our curriculum. We have science and we have some aspects of science integrated.
Good, everybody does integrated science. But if you look at the STEM, you're looking at science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
So engineering and technology are missing.
Yes. Okay. Apart from those, and even if you look at, it's a core subject. Integrated science is a core subject. Now, if we can have this, incorporate that at all levels of education in our curricula, that would also help. Because if you have some basic understanding of engineering, of technology, it helps. Assuming you take me, I'm a political scientist. I don't have any background of technology or engineering, maybe except when I did planning. Now, but if you look at, if I had that, or you had that, I don't know the course you did, or you also had that education, it helps in all areas you find yourself. So that is one thing I want to look at, so that in working in collaboration with other ministries and agencies, so that we can see how we imbibe that. The other aspects of how we can position our technology as a state to be able to catch up with the rest of the world, if for nothing at all. Basic things that we spend a lot of money importing as a state. If we're able to advance in our technological growth, we may be able to avoid some of those things. Look, spanners or nuts, we still import them. We have the capacity to do that. And the ministry is having, a project, retooling center in the foundry sector, where we develop those systems. It's about 95% complete. We need about 249 million Ghana cedis to be able to complete it, such that monies that our brothers and sisters at Obusokai, they spend millions of Ghana cedis importing them every year. They'll be able to buy them here. How do we develop technologically to be able to change the way we engage in agriculture? Look, I complained on this your platform last year how birds, in fact, ravage our farms. I farm, I'm a huge rice farmer. And the birds ravage. You have about 100,000 or 20,000 birds getting to one farm. And within 30 minutes, the entire farm would have gone. Other countries have been able to come out with some basic technological ways by which the birds can be driven away. Why is it that we are not able to do that? What kind of technological advancement or growth can we do to be able to solve some of these petty problems?
So will we see some sort of solution in this area?
Yes, we
within
will.
your tenure?
We will. And you see, unfortunately, we've been working in silos. That has been the bane of Ghana and many developing countries. We are supposed to be working together, either ministries or agencies. The interlinkages are very, very expensive, are very, very important. One, it reduces, duplicity. It reduces cost. You can find one ministry running a program. You find another ministry or agency running a similar program. The state will spend money in doing the same thing 2 times. If you have these interlinkages that exist between and among ministries and agencies, 1, it would have reduced duplicity. 2, it would have reduced cost. And the monies the state otherwise would have spent in doing the same thing at 2 different ministries or agencies, they could use that money in doing another thing that will help and the benefit of the people of this country. Environment is a challenge. I mean, Galamsey is a major factor. And the president said that I have an enviable responsibility of working with other ministries and agencies to see how we can stem the tide of the ravaging of our environment in this country. It's a huge responsibility.
Right.
But I think that we need the political will to be able to do that. And I have no doubt in mind that if you look at the vision and the directive His Excellency the President has given, we shall do our possible best to stem the tide.
Okay. We'll take it one by one. But as you start work today, what would be your preoccupation in the first few months in office? You've enumerated quite a number of things you want to do, but as you go there, what do you want to do in the first few months?
First and foremost, I indicated at the vetting, I want to have auditing done of the destruction of the environment by our own activities. And I say this because the World Bank sponsored a program that Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology undertook some time ago on water bodies and our forest, the destruction, quantifying how much the state is losing as a result of such activities. And you know what it was? It was about 10% of our GDP.
Oh.
Yeah, 10%. And that is just the water bodies and forests. How about other things? And these are things that I intend to do, to take a national audit.
Are you saying there is no comprehensive report as you speak on the state of devastation that our environment
I've just told you that the auditing, that the research that was done focused on only just the forest and the water body. I want to take it a step further.
Okay.
Once we are able to have something to work on, this is the state. 10% of your GDP being lost as a result of these activities. If the state decides that, okay, we'll provide you 5% to be able to curb this, you would have been saving the state about 5% of the GDP being lost. And we want to take it further. I also indicated, and this one was misconstrued as if I was having an intention to target, Zoom Lion. And I remember a gentleman wrote that. I said, look, there is, absolutely, we need to demonopolize, waste management in this country.
I want to understand you. So tell me, what is the problem with monopolizing? I know there are issues with Zoom Lion and they just want...
Are you comfortable with the way waste is managed in this country? I don't think you are. If you were, we wouldn't all be complaining that the bigger cities are crying others are very dirty. We need to engage the local governance structures. We need to engage SMEs, small and medium enterprises, to be participating in the management of waste. Look, I served in the Public Accounts Committee in the last Parliament, and your station carried a lot of stories about how resources that otherwise were supposed to be used for the purposes of, cleaning the environment and managing our waste is not being used judiciously. I think the biggest challenge people have with the way the waste is managed in this country is 1, value for money. We have had this time without number. 2, efficiency. And I mean, if we're that efficient, I don't think that we would have been complaining about some of this. That is not to say the private entities who are already engaged in it are going to be targeted. But it ought to be demonopolized. Monopolized breeds competition. And once there is competition, efficiency and effectiveness comes to play. But when there is monopoly, absence, demonopolizing will breed competition. And once there is competition, there will be efficiency and effectiveness. But if you have an aspect where there is no any competition, it's just one entity that takes absolute responsibility, it's also a recipe for corruption. A recipe for corruption. And I am saying that we all need to work together to demonopolize that, to engage the local governance structures so that they are active participants. Because you see, you go to assembly, The assembly thinks that, look, you already Zoom Lion that is engaged in some of these things, where they have a basic and a patriotic responsibility to also participate in ensuring that the environment is clean. They won't, because that is not their responsibility. But if you engage them effectively, I think that some of these things will be solved. And that is why part of the things I intend to do within the first few months is to deepen the stakeholder consultation. Look, if you want to fight Galamsey, you can't fight Galamsey by just a government and saying that we want to fight Galamsey. Galamsey is a multifaceted problem. Politicians are involved. Traditional leaders are involved. Civil society, some of them are involved. Ordinary citizens are involved. If you want to find a solution that is occasioned, either directly or indirectly, by several people, you need to engage all of them to be able to appreciate some of the challenges. And again, sensitization education is very important. I watched a video some time ago, and a gentleman went to cut down his cocoa trees. I think your station carrier to sell that to a Galamsey person, because that he's been engaged in cocoa farming for several years and he couldn't do anything. The money they were paying. So there is lack of education there. Maybe he may not appreciate the dire consequences of that action to his livelihood, to his health, to the health of the people. He may not. So you need to have some education, some sensitization of some of these people. Once you do that, now alternative livelihoods. That's another matter. Because I have heard stories where the young men claim that, look, if they don't engage in Galamsey, they have nothing to live on. What do we do as a state to provide alternative livelihood for these people so that they have something to do and there could no longer be any justification in destroying the environment? These are things that I want to preoccupy myself.
We'll come to Galamsey in a bit. I just want to probe further on this monopolization of waste management. Do you have the backing of the other stakeholders involved? Because I recall a story I saw on Facebook, Manasseh Azuri, about Linda Oklu, the Greater Accra Regional Minister, doing some work as it stands with Zoom Lion.
No, but Manasseh was not being fair.
Right.
Oh, no, he wasn't.
No, I just want to understand if you have.
It's important. Manasseh was not being fair to the minister. As it stands now, government has a contract arrangement with Zoom Lion.
Right.
This contract was not entered by this government. It was entered before. The regional minister has a responsibility to work with any entity that has a contractual obligation to dispense certain or discharge certain responsibilities. So if he had an engagement with Zoom Lion, what's wrong with that?
Okay.
Look, in all the things I intend to do, we certainly would have to engage them.
Yes.
And that is why my statement was misconstrued, that I said I was going to target Zoom Lion. No, but I emphasize, we need to demonopolize it. It must not be handled by just one entity.
The question is, how are the stakeholders receiving this message, this intent to demonopolize?
The good thing is that I don't think that His Excellency the President would have problem with this. If the President would have problem with this, I think that maybe perhaps he would have told me. The President's desire is to ensure that we make our cities clean, and he has never made secret about it. The President's desire is to ensure that we ensure that we live in an environment that is acceptable and habitable just for humankind and other species. That is the desire. Okay. And I'm not just saying that I'm going to say, let's demonopolize. Agree, it involves a lot of agencies and a lot of ministries. That is why I said that what I intend to do as the Minister for Environment, Science and Technology, first and foremost, is how we can deepen, if you like, the collaboration with other ministries and agencies. But as I sat here, you realize I just picked a call before we started. It was the Minister for Lands, Big Ben, who called me. Because there's a meeting we shall be having on some of this matter. So we have started that engagement. We have started that stakeholder engagement. And inshallah, we shall do something positive.
Do you know when this contract with Zoom Lion, ends, per se?
I haven't taken the pains to look at the contract. The contract was not entered into between Zoom Lion and MESTI. MESTI, the Minister of Environment, Science and Technology. So I can't speak to something I do not know. But what I do know is that we would have to sit together with everybody and see how collectively we can all help to solve this problem. I am very convinced that Zoom Lion also means well for this country. I mean, contrary to the view that many people have. Without it, let's be very clear that what would have been the state of our environment. So if there are challenges, yes, we must raise those questions. We must ask those questions. We must demand, effectiveness and efficiency from such entities, not just in Zoom, any other private entity that is having some contractual obligation or engagement with government. We must demand that they do that which the contracts were entered into. So if Zoom Lion is not doing that, and if people think that there is no value for money, we need to engage them. We need to demand, but just to say that Zoom Lion should go, then what is the alternative?
Okay.
And that is why we need to do everything together with such entities.
Okay. All right.
You mentioned, I want to take us to Galamsey, could you, except you want to stay on waste management for a bit?
No.
Okay.
The point, he made a point that there are several other companies in the sector anyway. It's not only Zoomland which is in the sector, but I think your point is about the company with which has a contract with the government for local assemblies is only Zoom Lion, right?
Yes.
That's what we don't know. Okay.
So even those private entities, you can't just leave waste management to anybody can just get into it. There should be some regulation. Because you see, we've seen young boys who come to carry the waste, from people's homes, and they go and dump them anyhow. Are you getting? So there should be some regulation as to how they can even dispose them. In fact, if you listen to my vetting, I said that we are looking forward to having a waste segregation, either in our homes or in the cities, where you can have two distinct dustbins that are provided by the state, liquid waste and solid waste, so that people would know. And other countries have done that. They are not superhuman. It took education, it took sensitization for people to come to terms with the need for them to segregate their waste. So if others have been able to do that, I believe that we can also do that.
Right.
Tree planting, there's Tree for Life, President Mahama, and then Blue Water initiative that President Mahama intends to do in our manifesto, where you have reclamation of our land, restoration of our water bodies, and you can do so if you're able to fight some of these issues. I want to take it further. Tree for every child. Okay. But see, children are very competitive. If you have a program or a project where every school people, and I say PU people, every school people is asked to plant a tree and has the responsibility to nurture that tree, no child would want his tree to die. I mean, we've all been kids.
Is it doable?
It is. Other countries have done that. In fact, Ethiopia was able to plant about 1 billion trees.
There are so many planting trees initiatives.
And that is why we need to ask questions, how that monies were spent. We need to demand answers.
So
the Ministry of Lands, in fact, mind you, that project was not the Ministry of Lands project. It was Ministry of Environment. It was Ministry of Environment that started and the Ministry of Land took it. And then millions of Ghana cedis were spent. Do you have evidence of the trees that were planted?
Oh, I've seen some.
Where?
Okay, so
I mean, if you look at every tree came with a cost.
Yeah.
Every tree came with a cost. Isn't it strange that the Interministerial Committee to fight Galamsey didn't have Minister of Environment representing? When Professor Frimpong Boateng, who was the leader of the Interministerial Committee, when he started speaking out and he was booted out, they never involved the Minister of Environment, Science and Technology. Galamsey is an issue because it affects our environment.
In fact, during your vet, you made that argument that it should be your ministry that handles
of
Galamsey
course.
and not the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources.
Initially it was the Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology which was leading. And that is how it's supposed to be. Galamsey is an issue because it affects our environment.
Okay.
The ministry clothed with the legal responsibility to fight, to protect the environment, is not Ministry of Lands, it's the Ministry of Environment. As a matter of fact,
the EPA is under you.
Yes, as a matter of fact, there have been a lot of allegations of culpability against the Ministry of Lands, rightly or wrongly, as a result of... So why would you ask the same ministry to lead the fight against Galamsey? Okay. So that is the point I was making. That is not to say that Ministry of Environment is going to work in isolation. You certainly would have to work with other ministries. One, Ministry of Lands, one, Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Interior, Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development and Chieftaincy. You need to work. And that is why I said earlier, what I intend to do in the few months is how we can deepen the stakeholder consultation and engagement.
Okay.
How we can craft educational, programs to sensitize and educate people the need for them also individually to take up that patriotic duty to ensure that collectively we all protect our environment. But of course, the state must take the lead. So it's a multifaceted issue that needs the hands of every single minister. But the proper ministry to handle it is the Ministry of Environment.
Talking about, the environment, Galamsey is not our only problem.
No, I mean, as for Galamsey, we'll come there because there's a huge issue we need to get.
I read an article from the Herald or the Guardian, I think, about how microplastics have been found in a human brain. And it begs the question, do we have a ban on plastics in Ghana? And I actually had a conversation with Professor Kluche, and she mentioned that they're going to be fading out plastics. They start from the supermarkets, go to the airports, and eventually we may never have to use plastic
as a matter
anymore.
of fact, there's a law.
For clarity, what is that law?
That bans plastic use.
Not plastic use.
Okay.
There is a law that regulates how we dispose some of such. But you see, the demand is that we should ban plastic waste. That is the demand. Because
do we have a policy where a law like that?
Not necessarily, because other countries have done that, Rwanda. But the question is, if you ban it now, do you have an alternative? What would be the socioeconomic impact of such a ban on the economy, on livelihood? And that is why we need to focus on, one, fashioning out policies to ban them, alongside with coming out with alternative means by which we can do our packaging and others.
Like paper bags. And
paper bags, we have reusable containers and those things. So we can do that. And I did reiterate, same when I was being vetted. And there are a lot of funding sources. As I talk to you, we're engaging some people to see how we can seek such funding internationally without necessarily depending on the budget. And if you're able to do some of those things, it will help. Carbon trading. Carbon trading is one means by which you'll be able to do that, where you engage in activities that will restore, reclaim your land, restore your water bodies, and then you are paid monies because some are buying your processes that you are doing. And by doing that, one, you'll be protecting your environment, at least nationally, even though globally the activities of those who are paying are indeed affecting the global environment. But you'll be protecting your environment. You'll also be creating the needed jobs for the team and unemployed youth in this country. And these are some of the issues we shall be looking at.
So do we have a period within which you work on this?
I don't want to give periods. I don't want to give timelines, because if I give periods and timelines, you would have a duty to hold me up. This thing is fluid. This is something that is unpredictable. But one thing I can say, that we mean work.
I wanted to ask because,
I have delivered everywhere I went.
We've spoken about
mine I wouldn't deliver.
We've spoken about the ban on plastic long ago.
Yeah.
I mean, it even goes beyond the actual government. When we were talking about ban on yes, and we've still not been able to do it. That's why I wanted to ask whether or not we do have a certain time frame within which we want to see.
No, if the process had begun, very well and effectively, that we need to do A, B, C, D, and within a year we should be able to do this. Within 2 years we should be able to do this. You can't just come out and say we are banning plastics.
Okay.
Then the question is, what is the alternative? How would we survive without the alternative? So if indeed we had, and I know that something had been started, but maybe the speed at which it ran was not encouraging. We need to expedite action on some of those things. Rwanda didn't just come out to ban. Rwanda, indeed, they put in a well-comprehensive policy, that geared towards engaging the private entities, the state subsidizing, giving tax-free holidays to those who engage in such things. Once you do so, then you get to a stage, you may not be 100%. You get to a stage, we can now gradually beginning to ban, plastic weights. But if you just come out and say we are banning it, there will be chaos. There will be chaos. But if we begin to do some of those things to help, like GMO, genetically modified organisms, some say genetically modified food, there have been some concerns that it should be banned.
Yeah.
That we shouldn't use it. That's what. But the question is, what will be the state of food security?
Without GMOs.
Without GMOs.
So what's your position on it? Let's discuss
we have one of the agencies under the biosafety authority, under the Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology. They have now have evidences, and there are mechanisms in place to assess whatever food that is generated through GMO to certify, to say whether we can indeed consume this food or not. And for me, that is the safety net that is being provided. So any food that is supposed to be imported into this country, they're able to assess it through scientific means, and they can make a very conclusive position as to whether it is wholesome or safe to use this or not. They have been able to do that. And for me, that indeed brings about, you know, a cure to the fear that many people would have otherwise, you know, had.
Do you think the problem is a fear? Because there are farmers who formed associations who are vehemently protesting the use of GMOs.
Yeah, but the protest, the protest should be anchored on something scientific.
Right. So I'm just drawing out a point that if you do find out that GMOs are, you know, we can consume it without any harm to us, would there be some sort of reorientation for these farmers to understand that it's also in a bid to be secure? Look at food security. Yeah. That is why we are introducing
Not all GMOs may be healthy for human consumption. That's why I'm saying that agency is taxed with the responsibility, and they have the capacity, you know, scientifically and technologically, to be able to assess any food which is generated through GMO, and be able to advise government and the citizen of this country that, look, you can consume this food. It's not there are some GMO food that may not meet their standards. And therefore such, they will tell us, no, we can't consume this, and the state would have to take the responsibility to prevent such from being used or imported into this country. But those they have certified and cleared, and with scientific evidences that, look, we can consume this food without any problem. Look, it will be the desire of all of us to avoid GMOs entirely. But what do? Do we have alternative? So in the interim, it is important we have an agency that assesses the food, you know, organisms that are brought into this country through GMO, and be able to advise appropriately whether we can use that or not. Maybe as we work towards, but unfortunately it seems to be the order of the day. Everybody now engages in such, even the seeds. Yeah. And I think that has been the concern.
Exactly.
The seeds,
the farmers,
people think that the seeds are also genetically modified. So if it has reached a stage, fertilizers that we use, there are some who would not even add fertilizer to their farmlands. Do we have enough land? What would be the yield or productivity if you do not add fertilizer? If you plant food without fertilizer, there are some, they will do anyway. Soybeans doesn't need fertilizer, but maize, rice, they need fertilizer. If you don't, you will do. But what will be the yield? And what will be the consequences of the small yield you have gotten to the larger, you know, food security or food need of the people of this country? And I think that these are some of the challenges that we encounter. Well,
one of the concerns of the farmers had to do with the fact that when GMO seeds are brought, anytime they have to fall on the same company for they cannot cultivate the seed themselves like we do.
That's the and what we are looking forward to doing. Of course, those companies they are private entities. They are into not to break even, but to make supernormal profit.
Yes.
There are means now with Ghana. We have started to see how we can generate our own seeds. Okay. Even if they are GMO, we can generate our own seeds for the purposes. I mean, this concern is a global concern. There have been a lot of global, you know, organizations, civil society organizations globally that are making a stronger case against some of these companies who are generating some of these GMOs. Okay. And that you only need it. If you need it, you can only get it from them. Okay. And maybe we are also looking at ways by which we can come out with our own seeds. And that is why I indicated that the agencies under the ministry, we need to work in collaborative fashion. If you take, let's say, EPA. Yeah. EPA is better resource than if you like,
MPRA.
CSIR.
Or the NRA, for example.
NRA, for it. So when I engage them, I said, look, you all have the capacity to conduct researches. CSIR, their main responsibility is research. EPA also has the capacity to conduct researches. So what I demand, and I indicated, and this is what I will insist that they all do, if EPA has a research to conduct, even though they have the capacity, they should give it to CSIR to conduct. I get what I'm saying? Okay. There you are looking at comparative cost advantage. So that the monies that would have been spent for the purposes of the research will be given to a lesser endowed agency in terms of financing to be able to conduct, so that they can also get some money to run certain activities.
But when it has to do with, say, air pollution,
yes,
Should that also be given
to
to
CSIR?
CSIR?
Oh, CSIR has the capacity.
Can do the research on air pollution.
They can. Sometimes even in doing that, they can do it together. If you look at under the CSIR, you have Crop Research Institute, you have Soil Research Institute.
Yes.
We need to look at smart agriculture in terms of even the technology that we use for the purposes of agricultural activities. The seeds, the seedlings, that we're able to do researches to be able to generate, like the GMO I was talking about. If we be able to do that, and they have the capacity to do that. If we're able to come out with our own seeds or seedlings for the purposes of GMO products, so that we don't rely on others. And we're able to do this and do it very well.
We've done some in the past about
yes.
Tampa. We did it.
So how did we do the marketing? And that is why I think that the media has a huge role to play, or marketers have a huge role to play. Once you do that, if you're able to advance some serious sensitization education, you may get even market within the sub-region, where other countries will be willing to buy from you for the purposes of advancing their growth and agricultural activities. Okay. I think that's one thing I think
we shouldn't mention air pollution just in passing, because I know that according to UNDP, Ghana has actually identified air pollution as a major health risk, and there are plans in place even to phase out cooking stoves, that, ones that are safe for us by 2030. Is this part of your priorities? And what is the strategy there to combat air pollution? So that every 2 months or so, we don't come back and record air pollution index, PM 2.5, something.
Unfortunately,
what's the strategy here?
If you look at the EPA law, the new law that Parliament we passed in the last Parliament, it doesn't include air pollution.
Wow.
Yes, and that is one thing I'm looking forward to doing immediately. I've had some discussions with the chief director and the directors to see how we can imbibe that into that law, so that we'll be able to have a regulation.
So sort of amending it?
Yes. I mean, it wouldn't be much a difficulty. You just have to do that through an ally. That is what we intend to do. It's a major thing. When we have disease outbreaks, you get them sometimes, our inability to manage the air that we breathe, the air that is in circulation. So when we have laws that are able to regulate how people, human activities,
especially fumes from exhaust, the drivers who just pollute the air with there's no punitive action taken
so
against
that is why I think we would have to look at the EPA law once again and incorporate that. And that, in fact, we've identified that when I engaged the chief director and the director, this was an issue I raised, and saying that if you could do something about it. And you see, the science and technological aspect of the ministry, if you're able to invest so much, sometimes not necessarily getting the state to inject the money. There are a lot of funding sources, global funding sources, which I am looking at, so that we can get consultants to be able to access those monies. For us, we'll be able to do some of this thing. The carbon trading that I told you about is something that we can do, so that you have programs and projects that would, reduce this emission, and then you are paid money for that. But those big companies, they would still emit anyway, but they give you money. One thing you guys didn't ask, and I'm surprised, has to do with Donald Trump's position and with
as well as his position on plastics. He's back to plastics, but we say no.
He doesn't even
we're going to work on it.
He's a climate change pessimist. He doesn't believe that.
He's a businessman. He thinks that
let's
go
business,
after money.
I agree. You see, it's a huge issue. A lot of our projects run by agencies in this country are funded or financed by the U.S. government. And for me, it's a worry. Now, America is the second largest emitter of
carbon emissions.
Yes, second largest, I think, apart from China and America. Now, if they withdraw, and if you know the COP, the last COP that they had, they pledged to provide a minimum of $300 billion for developing countries. And that could be used in other. And if you look at the $300 billion, America's contribution would have been huge. They are withdrawn from it. The question is, how does it affect our programs and projects towards trying to maintain our environment and then to reduce the carbon emission and those dangerous gaseous substances in our environment?
But should we really be planning our development and how we tackle these issues from, based on foreign aid?
And so that,
now that they're, deciding to withdraw, are we going to go cap in hand begging other international bodies to help us fix our problems internally?
It's a very intelligent question, and genuinely so. Because you see, did we have a plan?
So we didn't have a plan.
Were we over-relying on some of this assistance? The political question one will also ask is that, no, it was not just a privilege. Maybe it was a right in the sense that they emit more. And therefore, their activities are affecting us. So the attempt, and that's why they pledged $300 billion. It is not, you see, there's a sharp difference between a privilege and a right. If I get home, my wife, my children breakfast, lunch, supper, their school fees is a right. But if I decide to go and I buy chocolate, and I go and give it, it's not a right, it's a privilege. I get home and I just feel that I need to provide you with chocolate.
Right.
So the support that is given to us for the purposes of ensuring that we reduce the global emission, I don't see it to just be a privilege. Their activities are having direct effect on our survival.
Yeah.
That is what is happening. So, but if America decides that we don't, hey, you can't force them. But I believe that through diplomatic, channels, I know there have been some engagement. So even in the worst case scenario, if President Donald Trump in America says, look, we are not rescinding, on this decision, we need to find a way to ensure that some of this, support continues, whilst looking for our own means. Because if you have your mouth in someone's kitchen, if the person doesn't cook, I think
you don't eat.
Go hungry.
Anyway, let's talk about something the government, the president said he would do. LI 2462. What's the status now?
I don't want to speak to it because nothing has been done. Government intends to do that. Until government gets into it, I don't want to talk about it.
But when are we going to see an action on it? Because it also affects your ministry.
You see, with such, I told you I'm just starting work today.
Yeah.
It will involve the Minister of Justice and Attorney General, Minister of Lands, Minister of... But frankly speaking, if you ask me, and this one, I'm giving you my individual opinion on it, not as government, because the position of government would have to be directed by the presidency. You see, the absence of the LI, there wasn't any LI. So people were engaged in activities that were illegal in a way. But the moment that LI was made, it opened the Pandora box for more distraction. And clearly, if you want to avoid policy, it was done because of this, bauxite and other things. That's why they did it. And the consequences of it is huge. So if you make laws, human beings, sorry, if I say men, you ask me why I'm not gender sensitive. Human beings make laws for themselves. Yeah. So when the laws are not serving the purpose for which they were made, it is proper that you review them or you take them out completely. Now the question is, when we didn't have that LI, what was the level of destruction of our water bodies and our forest? It was minimal. Now you have the LI now, and it is worse. Does it worth keeping it? No, I'm asking.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
It doesn't, yeah.
And the previous government did that because they wanted to create an opportunity for such companies because of this.
You are part of the process. You are part of the parliament.
I was against it. We were against it in parliament. And our position was very clear. They went ahead and did what they were doing. Now, the president has assured that he's going to repeal it. Yes, it ought to be repealed. But if you ask me the state of it now, I'll not be able to tell you this is the state. Because, the government is... You see, it's interesting. You interviewed, I don't know what, one TV station, interviewed a gentleman, this so-called expert, and asked the man what President Mahama has done within the first 100 days. And so, because of his experience as a former president, he should have been faster. Can you imagine? How ridiculous. That he has gotten his ministers in record time. We have never had that. A lot of the things President Mahama said he was going to do within 120 days. Some of them he has already achieved them. We still have about almost 20 days. Yeah. And then they bring in an expert. Then he says that he should have moved faster than he's moving. It's ridiculous. And the excuse
you have more than 20 days because the 100 days.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
I'm saying that he has achieved virtually almost all the things.
But when will we see the water bodies taking shape?
Look, you can't corner me to give timelines.
No,
I'm saying that I have just told you, I've not even started work. And you're asking me, When are we going to see the water bodies taking shape?
Yes, because it's a very important issue to all of us.
Even if Archimedes rises from his tomb, something that is fluid, something that you are going to do, engaging, and the one thing I can assure you, by the next 4 years, the story will be entirely different. So if it happens within the next 6 months, the next 5 months, you Christians will say hallelujah. Is that not it?
Yeah.
But I'm saying that it won't be the same. Look, the people of this country gave President Mahama that resounding victory because they believed in him. And whatever he promised you were going to do, inshallah, shall be delivered. Look, I think, as part of even the stakeholders, religious leaders, I'm a Muslim, even though I attended mission schools, I did Bible knowledge, and I tell people for 1 academic year in Lekon. If you read Genesis 2:15, what God says about the earth, that he created man and put the man on the earth, and that he shall be the successor, okay, to protect the earth. So God himself is admonishing us that we must do everything possible to protect the earth and its complement. If you read Quran chapter 2, verse 30, there is a surah we call Baqarah. Once again, Allah, God here, admonishes us to take care of the environment, that we are the successors of the environment. Now, if you look at Islamic position on even trees and the environment, the Holy Prophet, in what we call the Hadith or the Sunnah, these are the sayings and the practices of the Holy Prophet. He said, even in war, do not cut down trees.
Okay.
Yes, even in war, where you have become victorious, you conquer, don't cut down trees, don't burn trees. So it tells you the sacred role of the environment and the need for us to protect. Read the Torah of the Jews, the Zoroastrians, the Buddhists, and in fact, even in the African parlance, the saying that when the last tree is cut, the last man is what? Dies.
Yeah.
So there is that religious obligation. What role have our religious leaders been playing?
Oh, I think we saw the Catholic, that rejected that if you are involved in illegal mining, they will not take your money. Was it the Catholic Association?
The Catholic embarked on this demonstration last year, vigil.
That is fantastic. But what I'm saying, that is fantastic and that is commendable. But I'm saying that on the pulpit, they should be preaching. You know, they should play a role. And you see, that role can only be played if they realize that government is interested in them playing that role. And that is why I said, as part of the stakeholder engagement, we shall engage all manner of people, traditional leaders, and even those who have been accused. Everybody. But let me be very clear. Anybody who engages in Galamsey activities, you can be who? We will deal with you.
That's the same thing Professor Kluche said to me.
Oh no,
it doesn't matter
it doesn't matter. And President Mahama we have his 100% endorsement. Whoever engages in it, whether you are a member of parliament, whether you are a minister, whether you are a former minister, former member of parliament, whether you belong to the NDC or MPP, anybody who engages in this. Because look, we can't continuously be charting the path that we have charted for so long. If you see the water bodies, sometimes I remember when we were school, you can just get bread, fetch some, and then add on it.
The former government says same. The former government says same.
In fact, the former president put his presidency on the line.
But without principles. If I were him, I would have resigned. He himself said that he was putting his presidency online. What do you mean by putting your presidency online? If you are not able to deliver, you resigned.
He explained that he suffered a lot of vote loss in 2020.
No, but that was completely debunked. It was bogus. He suffered a lot of defeat in Greater Accra. There isn't a single Galamsey activity in Greater Accra. That story should be told to the Marines. And I don't know why he succeeded and they succeeded in hoodwinking you, the media, into believing that work story. Because if you claim that you suffered electoral defeat because of the position you took, how about Greater Accra? Do you have a single Galamsey? And they suffered the highest defeat for the first time in 2020 elections in Greater Accra.
Right.
So what are they talking about? So
we
please,
have to go,
that story be told to the Marines.
Let's do one last politics before we go. I've read that you've been criticizing. Just a second.
The politics. I want to ask him what he thinks his biggest legacy will be after his tenure at the ministry.
My biggest legacy will be to work to achieve the vision and the policy position of His Excellency President Mahama as far as the Ministry of Environment is concerned. And by so doing, tackle Galamsey, by so doing, ensuring that we have innovative ways of, solving some of our problems and reducing our dependency on many countries on basic technological advancement that we have the capacity to be able to do.
Okay.
Right. If President Mahama's vision is achieved, that will be my
that will be your legacy.
Did you say this? We want to exercise that patience to a level that the people of this country will say enough is enough. There are too many clowns in the NPP. The NPP seem not to have direction. They seem not to have leaders. Anybody can do what he or she likes. First question, 2 questions, but the first one, did you say this? That there are too many clowns in the NPP?
Well, I have said many things, but I didn't just say. I remember I granted an interview to a sister.
This was about 4 days ago.
Yes, a sister media house.
Yeah.
And what I said was that, I said that these days clowns are rarely found. But you can find many from our friends in
the minority.
No, across the aisle.
Right. So
and,
the question
clearly,
is,
what?
The way we are seeing our democracy unravel, the way the minority is holding your feet to the fire at every point, we saw that chaos that happened.
They are not holding our feet. They are not holding our feet at every point. They were being chaotic. They were being reckless. Look, let me be very clear.
Well, maybe let me just land the question and then you can use it as part of your response or reflection. Is it not theirs to use? Is it not their position as opposition to critique everything that you do just to make sure that you don't have a holiday and you're just doing everything you want?
I never knew it is theirs to break tables and break chairs.
Aside the violence.
And anybody who engages in that is even worse than a clown. Anybody who engages in breaking chairs and taking tables and throwing, is it acceptable in our democracy? Isn't that a criminal act? Maybe perhaps I should have used that word.
Which word?
You need to help me.
No, you say you have.
Because I'm saying that if you tell me that they are holding us to our feet, that is not democracy. When we have tables being taken, throwing left, right, and center, what? Look, and I remember in the last parliament, when we even had equal numbers, whenever we disagreed, and we realized that they were pushing something which we disagreed, we honorably, decently will walk out. But because they don't have the numbers, they decide that we are not going to walk out. We are not going to trigger the constitutional responsibility or rights within the constitution and the standing orders by walking out. They have resolved that we are going to remain and will make proceedings ungovernable. So if you tell me someone who can just take tables and put them on leading members of the House, Mumbubu table, no. You think that is not clownish?
So that's not just their work in opposition?
But I'm asking you.
I'm just saying, removing the violence, because it's not just NPP MPs who were involved.
Please,
Plus,
please.
It's not the first time we are seeing this. During the conversation around e-levy, we saw some brouhaha in Parliament. Election of the Speaker of Parliament. We saw another brouhaha in Parliament.
You see, that is the misconception that is going on. The Constitution of Ghana encourages us that you can even use violent means to defend this constitution. Let me tell you the difference between what happened January 7th and today. We were defending the constitution. Okay. The constitution and the standing orders are all very clear. That in an election of a speaker, it must be done through a secret ballot. So anybody who is attempting to prevent that is attacking the constitution. So whatever violent means anybody engaged in on that day, it is supported by the constitution. Are you getting the point? Anytime. The Constitution says defend it at all costs, even if it means using violent means. They wanted to do that which was not in sync with the Constitution. Both the Constitution and the standing order says that you should do that through a secret ballot. And they said no. And we said we will not allow you to the extent they commandeered armed military men into the chamber. That was an attack on the Constitution, attack on the sanctity of our democracy. We were justified in taking any means to defend the Constitution. The Constitution expects us to do so. Now, the difference between that and what they did, which aspects of the Constitution says, Mumbubu table, no, which aspects of the Constitution says, take the tables and put on it. I mean, look, let's stop playing but I am saying that you can't compare the two. E-levy, on the issue of e-levy, we voted what the Constitution and the standing orders dictates. And they said, no, they must have their way. So don't compare what the NDC did with what they have done. Everything we did, and you can call any legal brain and ask him whether the Constitution permits us to use any means to defend this Constitution or democracy or not. Which aspect of the Constitution permits them to do what they do?
All right, okay. You see, Honorable Ezep, Political
and
animal.
comrade.
See, okay, comrade is a political. You see how he sprung into action when the politics bit came
Yeah,
out.
but, no, because I've heard that time beyond number. And people try to compare it. They are not comparable at all.
Yeah.
We wish you all the best as you go.
I appreciate it.
We hope that there will be regular interaction between us so we can go with you and to see the progress that the ministry is making.
Absolutely.
We wish you all the best. Sir.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Comrade
Thanks
Murtala Mohammed is Ghana's Minister for Environment, Science and Technology. And he has been having a chat with us. We're grateful to him. But yeah, before we go, there's
yes, there are pieces of information that is so important we have to bring to you. We'll tell you about Medicas Hospital, and then we'll also tell you about Solar Mates. You know, Medicas Hospital is a modern health facility built with your recovery in mind, spacious wards built with your children's recovery in mind. And you can locate them at number 10 Kingshaw Street at Ashalibuche School Junction. And when we return from the break, we'll tell you more. But stay, that's it for our big stories. There's so much more coming your way on the AM show.
To the AM show. We're going to have we're going on to the last.
We're continuing our conversation.
But we're taking our viewers to Boko, right?
Yeah.
Because there seem to be a lot of issues happening there.
Yeah.
From last year, they has seen some, bit of communal clashes here and there. Even in the election, people thought that it would have affected it, but they did well. But it's coming back again.
Yes, we know that a woman and her 2 children have been tragically murdered after a gunman who was reported to be dressed in military uniform, stormed their residence and shot them. The incident occurred in Tensugo, a few meters from a military camp in Boko Township. And the people are saying, leave us if you can no longer protect us. Yeah. That is the lamentations of the people from Boko in yet another gruesome killing. Like I mentioned, a mother and her 2 children. And the frustration and anger grows as the residents of Tensugo, a suburb of the Upper East region, are demanding investigation into the dreadful incident. And we want to discuss this. Joining us via Zoom is Dr. Victor Doke. He's a security analyst, beg your pardon. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Great. Let me take your initial reaction. How did this news come to you about the death or the killing of this woman and her 2 children? How did it come to you?
Well, thank you very much. It was very sad reading and hearing of it. And then also to actually get to know that the women and children who are placed under the category of vulnerables could, be at the receiving end such as this. It's devastating. It tells us that, in Boko and its environs, anything can happen at this moment, because then when you have personnel, alleged to be in uniform and then perpetrating this act, then the big question is, are the people safe? Are the protectors, adhering to the mandate of protecting the lives and the people that they've sworn to and defend their integrity? Is it the way it is or not? It's going to be very challenging, going forward for the people to trust the military if, investigations are conducted and it's found that, yes, some personnel from the military per the narratives that they were in military uniforms. And I know we'll discuss about, this military uniforms and all of that information, but it's very worrying, very, very worrying.
So, I mean, since the re-emergence of the conflict in October 2024, we know that the death toll now stands around 45. The last incident was a 13-year-old boy that was killed around the same spot. But we also know that in the first few days that President Mahama assumed office, he visited the people of Boko. I want you to tell us, in terms of our efforts to, completely end the conflict in Boko, how are we doing? You're a security analyst.
With regards to the death toll, right, now when you get the opportunity to speak to forces in Boko itself, it's more than what has been quoted. So there are conflicting figures there, that in the media, and then actually what is happening on the ground. Now, with regards to the president's visit, you would best be assured that any leader who comes into, office or assumes office would like to, have an upper hand with regards to internal security. And that by me, any existing conflicts, inter-ethnic conflicts, chieftaincy conflicts, or whatever conflict that may be, he would like to address it as quickly as possible because it drains financially, human resource, right? And then we know how the Boko conflict has prolonged the dynamics that keeps changing with regards to any little provocation that sparks cacophonous shootings, and then the youths start to engage. You know how it has spiraled down to Accra, its environs, like at Sharman, elsewhere in Tema, Agobushi, and all of that. So the president, having visited the place, wants to send a message to the people that yes, I'm committed to resolving this conflict. Now, two, with regards to the approaches that have been implemented so far, we know of sending in troops, one, to enforce curfews, which has been effective somewhat. Now, you would have curfews enforced, but then you will still get to know about some shootings here and there, and then one or two killings here and there. That tells you that, yes, the curfews are working, but then we need to enforce much more with regards to the personnel's patrol, the patrol, and then circling or having in control the border areas, confrontation points where these two, youth clashes. The bigger picture, which we've not talked for a while, is the proliferation of small arms in the area. What has been done so far, I have heard, small arms commissions over the years talk about, they are doing programs, sensitizations and all that. But you remember some time back we had, weapons for money. Now, if we can...
Oh, Dr. Victor, okay.
We should have some program, similar to that, where the youths will be willing to surrender their weapons. But as it is now, my checks reveal that the youths purchase their arms in the notion of self-defense because they don't trust themselves. So you have the youth working day and night and then purchase arms just to defend themselves from what? Because they don't trust the other party. So in all of this, then we got to know of the appointment with regards to the national security architecture, coordinators, the advisors, and then intelligence bureaus. Now there's a Herculean task for these gentlemen who have been appointed into the security space. One, to gather intelligence as much as possible with regards to whether if there are criminal elements that are taking advantage of this particular conflict. And by that, we need to nip it in the bud. Now, if there are criminal elements, then you must be best assured that they have gained grounds. And the intelligence of the bureaus, the national security apparatus should be apt to quell this. Other than that, then it means that we would be hearing of frequent criminal activities going on in the area, which will not be good. Then it means we are opening up a Pandora's box of chaos in Boko. Criminal elements have taken advantage of the conflict, and you don't know which side it will support in the future.
Right.
So all of it comes to the point that our mechanisms are facing challenges. Curfews are facing challenges, but then the bigger picture is the chieftaincy minister, the national security advisor, interior minister, and then hopefully the army generals and all of that. What is the way forward? We need a holistic approach to the Boko conflict. Now, experts have come out to say a lot of things with regards to resolution and bringing the conflict to an end. What are they doing that needs to be looked at? Involvement of CSOs, which has not been, very rampant like we had in the past, although there were, confrontations, but there were a lot of civil society organizations that were involved in the conflict. You can talk about the West African Network for Peace Building that have done a lot of work. And they were one of the NGOs that implemented the early warning systems in Boko, and that helped. So when early warnings are picked up about, something being in the offing. They relate for what? Bilateral consultations. You can talk about the Berlin Busa Development Agency. All of them get more civil society involved, get more experts in the academia involved. Ideas will flow as to how we can resolve this conflict.
Okay.
I know they are doing a lot, but then get the civil society involved, get the experts involved, and then we'll see how best we can contribute to the resolution of this conflict.
Thank you, Doc. Please hold for Brace.
Doc, I mean, listening to you, it looks like we really understand what is causing this conflict up there. Then I ask myself, if you know, then the state should know. Why are we not able to then prevent these attacks if we have all these intelligence?
Yeah. So now we have something we call proximate factors that, occur here and there. Politics is one, because then you know the political dynamics in Boko as of now. So then the politicians in the past have promised their kinsmen, certain positions and here and there. Now, if that doesn't materialize, then you are sure that the frustrations of the youth will be brought to bear. And what they know, the issue they know is a chieftaincy conflict, and then they bear their frustration in that one. You cannot take away the fact of politics. Now, the kinsmen, those who are called shadow stakeholders, who are, in the enclaves, environs in Accra, who are sponsoring their kinsmen, with funds to purchase weapons and all of that. The major issue, the root cause, yes, we know the chieftaincy conflict, but let's not forget the litigation aspect that has been, gone on or happened in the past, where one party discontinued the case, and then that ended the litigation aspect. Now we are hearing that whoever has any issue should go to what? The law court. That is the right channel to go to. But as it is, when you're talking about an institution such as the chieftaincy institution and its prestige that comes with it, you are rest assured that no party would like to relinquish, or no party would like to let go. The point is, when you ask the other party if they are willing to let go, they would say categorically no. Or if you happen to ask them, what is the issue now? They will tell you the chieftaincy. That is why we saw February 13 or 15, 2023, the dynamics that are happening in Narulegu with regards to the rival chief. Now, this has changed the dynamics of the conflict, whether we like it or not. Now,
well,
it has also added...
Unfortunately, that's all that our time will allow. Hopefully, we can engage in our subsequent programs. Thank you so much.
Sure.
That is Dr. Victor Doke, security analyst, helping us put in perspective what happened in Boko over the weekend. You want to stay, but before we go, let me remind you about Solar Mates, because you want to select a solar system from our various solar packages ranging from 30,000 Ghana cedis to 99,000 Ghana cedis. And all our solar systems come with lithium-ion batteries. So get a solar water heater, a solar home system, a solar power station, or a solar generator ranging from 1,000 watts to 20,000 watts. We also sell reverse osmosis machines for water treatment. Google Solar Mates Ghana to find us both on Facebook and on Instagram, or simply call 050-832-0470. Solar Mates Ghana is located at Adringano, East Legon. Solar Mates, we go everywhere. Ben would, wow.
Anyway, I get it. Well, we are both BB, right?
Yes. Ben and Brace. Bell, you tell them about Valentine's Day.
This Valentine's Day, we know what you want. Something strong, something reliable, and definitely something that wouldn't let you down. But Charlie, we're not just talking about bail. We're talking about Syntex tanks. Like true love, Syntex tanks are built to last. They handle pressure like a pro. Stay solid throughout the ups and downs, and the promise of no disappointment. So this Valentine, whether you are storing water or storing memories, choose something that will stick with you for the long haul. Call Syntex Tank on 0244-335168 or visit syntexgh.com to get yours today. Syntex Tank, strong, tough.
Well, coming up on the AM show this morning, we are bringing you a new segment, In the Trends, with Jackie and Derek. We'll take a quick break. When we return, they'll tell you everything you just might have missed in the trends. We'll be right back.
Are you enjoying the Monday already?
Of course I am.
All right. Who made it a crime to laugh on Monday mornings? And
why does it seem that everyone is wearing a serious look with zero appetite for laughter?
Well, not on this segment of the AM show, because ahani nyambre, and of course we dissect and bring you the issues making waves on the timeline with the ever-dashing Jackie and Somoya Boa.
And of course the talk no the cook rice guy, Derek Elomashlevi, hitting your screens this morning.
As you know it, here we'll serve you the conversations taking over the timeline. We'll give you a scoop of what's happening. So relax. As I said, relax. If you missed anything during the week, we got you, you know. Definitely. All right, heading to our very first story is a story of Honorable Ano Dompre. In a video that popped up and was circulating on social media, we see him passing some very shocking comments that, you know, is sort of inciting MPP supporters to violence. These are not my words. See for yourself.
NDC ni ekwa. Bua MPP ni no na yembu NDC ni no.
Charlie, I hope you heard it. These are not my words, so Charlie, what do you make of it?
I mean, when I heard that, I was like, seriously? You know, last year, he also was on the brink of controversy when he said something about Galamsey in Parliament. I think he's not new to this. And let's go to social media. And this one is from Morris Morgan Quarton saying that MFA Hardcastle was right. Well, if you don't know what MFA said, should I mention what she said?
No, Charlie, social media.
So she said that Frank Dompre was, I mean, in quotes, behaving in a silly way. So netizens on social media have been reacting to this, saying that whatever thing that MFA Hardcastle said is indeed right. Moving to some other comments. So Cop Fashion says that, ask yourself, the one talking, is he ready to fight with his family? If yes, they can start whilst we watch them in glory.
For this one, it's a big deal to me because, you know, people tend to have influence and abuse it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I'm not sure Dompre will go and step into the fight. Well, he could, because from what happened in Parliament,
you know, when he nearly lost his seat, there is a Madrid tension some months ago, which I was there, I mean, at the Coalition Center. Wow. You know, he was actually agitated and all that, but maybe just as you said, he could, but maybe not with the family though.
Yeah, of course. Take us to the other comments.
Kokoma Matik says that, how can we as people allow these statements to be made? He's promoting violence. And big shout outs to MFI Hardcastle. Just as I said earlier, people are actually giving her a shout out on social media. Would you want to give her a shout out?
Well, I think it's coming, you know, social media. I think we're in a generation where people will judge you. Or in other words, posterity will judge you. Any comments you make, and social media never forgets.
We don't forget.
So I can imagine if maybe MFI is feeling vindicated, more like, Charlie, I said it,
because I remember a lot of people were actually backing Frank Dompre, saying that what MFA said was not, I mean, it wasn't the right word to use there. But then people are actually feeling like MFA actually vindicated herself, you know, just after some few days. And to our next story.
Our next story is one that me, myself, I don't even understand. Of course, we know that there's been ministerial appointments and, you know, a lot of MPs are getting nominations. And one of the finest MPs to get a very good nomination, of course, the Deputy Minister, is Honorable John Dumelo. He got a nomination to be Agric Minister, I'm told. Deputy Agric Minister. And so his constituents were happy. Some of them went to celebrate him. But on the flip side of things, what's happening in Ashaiman?
I know when you go to Ashaiman, they are not excited because they think that their member of parliament should have also gotten an appointment. And it's not just in Ashaiman. We've seen that on social media where a lot of people have been talking about the fact that their MPs deserve an appointment. We have 188 MPs. I'm not sure we would have all these MPs get
275 MPs. They are a lot. Not everybody can get it.
You get it. So in Ashaiman over the weekend, we realized that they were not happy and they went to their party office to destroy some stuff. There was chaos over there and they were saying that their MP deserves a ministerial appointment. And social media was actually reacting to this.
Before the comments, take a look for yourself. We'll give you comments on that. Now pose here by force. I don't get this. Like Ghanaians, we feel very entitled.
This week, I don't know. You know, it's promises. You get it, and most people feel like, especially I would say, most people in NDC would say that okay, they're entitled to certain stuff. I believe that those in the MPP would equally say the same thing if their party was in power. But then let's go to social media to see how people have been talking about this. So this is from John Dumelo's video, and Inshira says that I'm so happy because I fought someone,
he will
win the seat.
And the person said no.
And Madam Dancing Shoe would win. Or her. I was so hurt. So all the time I was checking for his own. And now see what God just did. Indeed, patience is due. We thank God and may he work hard and excel.
Yeah, I think people are excited for him.
Yeah, that's for John Dumelo. And RIP to Ma Lydia's seat. That's career. Congrats to the young Deputy Agric Minister.
See, the thing with Ghana is that like we are fanfulous. Fanfulous in the sense that if the thing doesn't go in your favor, people will give it to you.
You know, Ma Lydia actually, you know, after she lost, there was the viral video of her. There's this trend, let me use this word. Some of them were saying that she dances. You know DWP?
Yeah.
I don't know why I need to go there. So yeah, if your MP becomes a minister, then what? This to Ashaman after their video also went viral. What will Ashaman gain from their MP being a minister? Actually,
you know, and the thing is that, of course, 60 ministers. Charlie, not everybody will get nomination, you know. So it's not an entitlement, you know.
All right, and Nana Grant says that they should exercise restraint. Everybody will get the opportunity to serve.
And ends with what? Hey, Ghana, give us the next comment, Jackie.
Yes, and the original Source TV says that, but that's not how we run a country. Sometimes some of them has to be behind and use the expertise to help build the country. Not everyone can be out there. They should just be behind their fellow MPs to, support them. And paid goons, the seeker says, paid goons, the president can't satisfy 35 million Ghanaians. Just so you know, the president wants to downsize the government. So we should expect more of this. And Daniel says that see them as if their MP is the only competent person to handle ministerial position. Master, you guys should learn and stop disgracing yourself and your town. A lot of comments,
I think this one says the one.
Their MP is only good for buga buga. So what is he going to do with that appointment? He should wait. When there is buga buga, he will be called.
Please, these are not our words. When it happens on the ground, in the trends, we'll serve you. All right, so our next story is a story that, it's quite funny, but it's a very sad one.
Yeah.
A teacher is posted to a school, and on her very first encounter with a new student she's going to teach, this is what she found out. Look for yourself.
Hello. Hi. Hello. Hi. Good morning, class. How are you? Good morning, class. How are you? Good morning, class. How are you? Hello. Hi. Hello. Hi. Good morning, class. How are you? Good morning, class. How are you? Oh my God.
Well, good morning.
Good morning, Jackie.
I'm fine.
Charlie, on the lighter note, it's quite, but I think I'm very sad about this particular story.
I actually followed up on social media last night. I went to a social media page, and apparently she's been documenting. She's a new teacher being posted to a school in Northern Region, just as you rightly said. And it's actually sad, even though it's somehow funny on the response from the students, but that was the response from these students. And let's get to the comments on social media. One dude said, "How are you?" and the rest followed. I bet, one dude said, "How are you?" and the rest followed. I bet he's the brilliant one in the class. Because if you saw the video, there was a tall guy. You know, in class, when one follows, you think the person is the brilliant one in the class. Then the next comment said, "And ballot buses get here during elections, but not proper buildings for students to stay and study in." Wait, so we are in the era where we still think the girl child's place is in the kitchen? Because where are the girls? Aden.
So meaning there were no girls in the video?
If you see the video, there were no girls in the classroom. There were no girls in the classroom. It was only boys. Maybe the girls, they had gone outside for break. I don't know. How I wished it was a movie. Hey, it go be.
I think for this particular comment, it really hits my heart, even when we're preparing for it. Because, if it were a movie, we are telling the story of a poor neighborhood, or even it's a documentary. But this is not a movie.
It's not a movie.
It's
real.
reality.
Because me in particular, when I saw it, I was like, no, then let me trace the girl. I saw her TikTok account. I realized that she's been putting a lot of videos out there, and she's been teaching she's putting in her best, but this place surely has an MP. DCMC, etc. That's from DKB.
Yeah.
He commented on this very post too. And
Charlie,
away from that, you know, on the back of that, I mean, earlier on the AM show, there was a video that we put out there on some students crossing over. It's on the screen just as you can see right now, and that is also making trends on social media. These are schools, these schools are not the only ones. We have a lot of schools in the deprived areas where students are going through a lot. In fact, when I saw the video, I thought the boy was going to fall. The boy behind him.
Jesus.
You see, he had to pull him down, the stress that he had to go through. So all these things are trending on social media when it comes to our education sector.
Guys, I mean, of course, to whoever is the MP in this area, I think you owe it to yourself. I don't know how you're able to sleep at night if you are in power and you just begin to just do whatever you want. These are people's destinies, and posterity will judge you. All right, moving on to a story that is quite funny. I think I like this one. And I mean, Mr. Valentine will say it to me and by force. Like, you know, like, Charlie, no Valentine what's the name of the place? Goss.
So, you know, this week is the Valentine week. Yeah. Valentine is on Friday.
Charlie, do you have a Valentine?
I mean, we'll talk about that later.
Oh, okay, sorry.
We'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that later. You know?
No pressure.
I'm not there yet, but maybe before Friday we'll get to
have
a Valentine or not. But then, no Valentine in Gosso. If you're in Gosso, you'll not be celebrating the Valentine.
And this is because the traditional council have put it out there that this year, no Valentine. I mean, every other year you can feel free and do all the lovey-lovey, but not this year. Yeah. See for yourself. We'll bring your comments on that.
You just say a boss mind here. On my sweaty asemka. Enti obia da hase. Emra ani hye ya na nanom bia gu ho no. Ye be di so. Pepe. Lemom wa be hu dua broni na nsama na nanom aka. Wo se woni so de. Na nanom chewa. Na ne obi se wa enche na nanom be makwan. Ama se Valentine wa ni ne na.
I mean, so the preamble is that they are mourning. You know, I'm told the chief of the area is dead. So
that's why they are wearing black to tell the people that. But let's see how social media is reacting to this. Inconstant says that this Valentine will all be gossip. No men and Valentine.
No.
I remember some years back when it gets to Valentine, there's the Champions League. Yeah. But there's no football this Friday.
Season,
There's no football. So this is what the guys are saying. This Valentine will all be gossip boys. Valentine is cancelled due to high rates of single people this year. Yes.
People are single, eh?
Yes. Okay. We are all parts. If the council is not deploying troops to inspect houses, that's room one after the other, it will be celebrated regardless.
Yeah, people have picked their mind. Charlie.
I mean, people can do indoor stuff, so the elders are hating.
Could it really be the case?
The Gen Z statements. Yeah. The elders are hating.
Okay.
A particular gender in the mad. You know, when you talk about a particular gender,
are you talking about ladies?
Please, I don't know. Oh. I mean, it can also be men, you know.
Great. For this story, I like it. There's a guy that I like to talk about anytime I'm on TV, and the guy we're talking about is Pani. And I like Pani because if you followed Pani for some time, of course, Pani is shot a while. If you followed him for some time, you know that he's been talking about a Rolls Royce that is coming. It's on the road, it's on the water, it's on the ship. Finally, it has landed. Shatawale's new Rolls Royce, Cullinan, is in town. And of course, Charlie, if you were to be you, how would you feel? He's excited. See for yourself. We'll bring comments on that. Pani. I just like it because Charlie, the guy has struggled. He has worked hard. Of course, people have other comments on that. Let's see what people have got to say. Jackie, run the story.
So Blankson says that your mates are buying private jets.
The person who is writing this, oh no, I thought it.
No, but he's not Shatawale. That's not Shatawale's mates. If Shatawale talks about, if you're talking about Shatawale's mates, you're talking about Stoneboy, Sarkodie, those are his mates.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, get this every day they talk.
Elam Hood says that not impressed till you send me money. You know, social media. Twilight says that the way Shatawale no fi come out the company name from the Rolls Royce, you people no sure, you know, be influencer gig, ni influencer they do.
And this is what they're talking about, the quantum cars. Charlie, if we all buy new cars, you don't take off the things like that. For some time.
It's like 450K USD. That's a lot of money.
Yeah,
crazy amount. Then you take it off.
Crazy amount of money.
Then Beno Sack says that I've already lost interest in Rolls Royce because of Shatawale. No more aura for that car.
Charlie, now everybody's buying Rolls Royce. Jackie, are you going to buy one soon?
I mean, I haven't sat in one yet, but looking at Shatawale, maybe I might probably upgrade, you know.
Oh, okay. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, more comments.
Same Beno Sack says, you know, they put a video of a Rolls Royce in, in the showroom. In the showroom. Yeah. Then they put Shatawale's car beside. And people are saying that, I mean, this car is like second hand.
You guys.
Social media, he's not having it easy on social media. This car.
This car was shot in a studio. Look at the lights.
With lights and all that.
This is Infinix, not the child.
I mean, in Ghana, when you take pictures, it's always different.
Yeah,
it's always different.
All right, let's see. Okay, great. I like this story because we're wrapping up quickly.
Yeah.
And it's a story where national security intercepts a container with counterfeit US dollars, Ghana cedi notes, and gold bars. You know, see for yourself. We'll bring your comments on that.
During the operation, additional boxes opened in the warehouse revealed more cash concealed in compartments barricaded with plywood and sealed with charcoal. According to national security operatives, 2 containers remain on the loose, but state security trackers are actively pursuing them. Meanwhile, a manhunt is underway for 4 suspects, including a ringleader known only as Al-Haji. The warehouse search uncovered even more shocking finds, including boxes of...
Charlie, this is a very shocking story.
Yeah.
Let's see what the grandma's got to say.
Well, that next guy says that the repeated instances of criminal activity with no serious arrests, investigations, or prosecutions are a disgrace. It's like watching criminals play hide and seek while law enforcement plays along. Where are the arrests? It feels like a reality show where villains escape for the next episode. Investigations seem like a pretense and prosecutions are mythical. Ghana needs action, not just headlines. Let's hope this time justice isn't on vacation.
I think I like this comment. Let's take the last one.
Yes, and the scale of this suggests deep networks. The real question, who else is involved? Yeah.
All right. Of course, wrapping up with our very last story. And if you're a fan of American football, the NFL, you know that for the first time, Kendrick Lamar gets to be the headline artist for this year's NFL halftime show. It was a very good one. Of course, the visuals are going to roll pretty shortly on your screen, where I think that I even like the set. It starts with a game part kind of vibe, PlayStation vibe. We'll give you comments on that. Jackie, what do you have?
Well, you know, Super Bowl is actually something I've been waiting all year. I sit down to wait for it. I enjoyed it at dawn before coming. A 13 minutes show from Kendrick. People have been commenting on that. You know, last week, he got a lot of Grammys for his song, his diss song to Drake. And a lot of people were had high expectations. Is he going to sing the diss songs that he had for Drake at the NFL Super Bowl halftime show? Well, I think let's watch the video and snippets of the performance, and let's get to the comments.
All right. Apologies for that. We'll get you that sound. But of course, the grandma's got something to say. Jackie, run the story.
Definitely. So, okay, my director just prompted me. Let's take a listen.
I was telling walking New Orleans with the etiquette of LA yelling. They acting bad, but somebody gotta do it. Got my on the gotta TV, y'all. Turn this TV.
Yeah, so there you have it. People, I mean, of course, it's a sniper, but a lot of people felt that it wasn't too good. Some felt it was good. what the grandma's got
well,
to say.
Matthew Lane says that not one person, not one white person, music stacked, has not been a great halftime show in years. Only people under 30 enjoyed it, which I think I saw one white person. I mean, there were not a lot of white people, but I saw one white person in the video. And also, this will easily be the most divisive halftime performance. So let me simplify it. If you know music and artistry, 10 over 10. If you didn't know, you were lost. You were lost. And believe me, there are way more people lost than you think, but because they were never blessed with a love for music.
I think we have a last one.
And yeah, triangle, square, circle, and X. Kendrick just put a PlayStation cheat code in before his performance. And this performance, I liked it. You know, Drake dated Serena Williams. That was the surprise performance. She came doing the Crips dance. People have been talking about it. I mean, there were lots of things on the that happened during the halftime show. All right, and that is what we have.
Of course, it's been the trends with the ever-dashing Jacqueline and Soma Yeboah. And my name is Derek Elo Moshelevi. We'll hand over to Sweetie and Kojo. Take it away.
That's you two a sight to see.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
Thank you so much for bringing us what's in the trends.
Did you hear the Ansuma? The way Derek pronounced it.
How did he say?
Yeboah.
Yeboah.
As if
hey, actually,
as if you are to the US birthday. Anyway.
Well, folks, that's our time. That's our show for you this Monday morning. And hopefully we can get Jackie and Derek here every Monday morning to serve us what's in the trends. Thank you guys so much. I'm Sweetie Abochi. That's our time. And I did this with
Samuel
my chairman.
Ojo Brace, the chairman. But you know what? I have to do this for my guys in Takwa. Moses Animal is with the Central Western Region RMTTD in Takwa. He says he's watching us, and kudos to him and his people in Takwa.
Oh, well, hello to you. Folks, we are back on your screen tomorrow from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. But for now, stay for Joy News Desk with MFA Akosia Adeti, the ever beautiful. That's our time. Thank you so much for watching. Okay, bye for now.